Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best television show not on TV. Y'all know what it is, man. The best division in football. We back at it one time here, man. A lot of big news circulating around the league. I'm sure y'all heard about the breaking news here about the New York Giants firing Joe Judge. Let's quickly talk about the playoff scenario here for the 2021 season. So we're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the number 2 Tampa Bay Bucks. We got the 49ers who just squeaked in at number 6 seed. They're going to be taking on the number 3 Dallas Cowboys. That'll make 2 teams in the NFC East with the playoff matchup. The number 5 Arizona Cardinals are going to be taking on the number 4 Los Angeles Rams in a rematch there. That's going to be a really good game. That one's going to be on Monday night. And the Green Bay Packers got the first seed. They'll have a bye here in the first week for the NFC. Now, in the AFC, we got the number 7 Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to be taking on the number 2 Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. Number 6 New England Patriots are going to be taking on the number 3 Buffalo Bills. That should be a really interesting matchup. And the number 5 surprise Las Vegas Raiders, shout out to my homie Laylo, Mr. HD one time, are going to be taking on the number 4 Cincinnati Bengals, who are another bit of a surprise if you ask me. And the Tennessee Titans will have the bye in the AFC. But we got to get to this big news, man. I know everybody and their mama in the Giants community is live right now. We appreciate you being here rocking with us on the Awthentik and the Beard channel. Y'all know how we do. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday, every Thursday. So this is just a regular occasion, but we definitely going to be talking about the firing of Joe Judge. The New York Giants have now cleaned house by firing Joe Judge a day after general manager Dave Gettleman retired. Joe Judge is fired with a 2-season record of 10-23. His 6 wins in his first season regressed to 4 wins this past season. He's the first coach in New York Giants history to lose 13 games. Can't forget that Ben McAdoo wasn't there for the full season of 13 losses with the 2017 New York Giants. And the Giants have not, since making the playoffs, have not had a winning record outside of 2016. Ridiculous. Now, co-owners John Mara and Steve Tisch said they felt it was best for the Giants to move in another direction after 5 straight seasons of not only losing seasons, but double-digit losing seasons. Mara said he met with Judge on Monday and again on Tuesday, and on Tuesday he informed him of his decision. Quotes from John Mara go as, "I said before the season started that I wanted to feel good about the direction we were headed when we played our last game of the season," in reference to the 2021 season. "Unfortunately, I cannot make that statement, which is why we have made this decision." He also said that this will be a comprehensive search for our next general manager in regards to Dave Gettleman. We are looking for a person who demonstrates exceptional leadership and communication abilities, somebody who will oversee all aspects of our football operations, including player personnel, college scouting, and coaching. So, without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the damn country. Y'all know what it is, man. Left side.
Wrong side.
In the building. In the building one time.
When you're reading that description of what they're searching for in a general manager, like, it literally felt like that's what I would write in the first paragraph of a resume, like, 10 years ago. So it's interesting, like, how this whole thing's going to unravel. It's wild. It felt crazy yesterday when I kept getting, my phone was blowing up yesterday morning with all the firings. So to, like, get to this point and then finally Joe Judge gets fired today, I knew, we talked about this a bunch already leading up to this point, that we kind of knew. I felt like this was going to happen. I felt like when they said that it wasn't going to happen, that was a defining moment, that it actually was going to happen, because that's generally how things work in sports. When they say, that's our guy, we have 100% faith in him and we believe in him, that generally means that guy's about ready to lose his job. So I just was kind of surprised it didn't happen yesterday. I'm sure most of Giants Nation, based on what I was seeing on Twitter, was kind of just sick to their stomach, not knowing that Joe Judge didn't get fired yesterday. So it was pretty wild. Bloody Monday yesterday. I think the biggest surprise of the coaches that did get fired was Brian Flores. I did not see that one coming at all. And I think that, there's immediately when I thought about that, when I heard the Brian Flores firing, I was like, man, it would be crazy if, because the Giants have the draft capital, it would be crazy if, the Giants decide to fire Joe Judge, hire Brian Flores, a guy who, can work with a great defense, like I think the Giants have potential to be, and then they can get Deshaun Watson, who the main reason why Deshaun Watson wanted to go to Miami apparently was because of Brian Flores. And the Giants have the draft stock, obviously, to trade for Deshaun Watson, bring in Brian Flores. So that's just how my mind immediately started thinking when the dominoes started to fall a certain way. So, and then also, I just had to give a big shout out to Max Crosby and Justin Herbert. The performance of that game on Sunday night was absolutely insane. I mean, Max Crosby was absolutely dominant on the defensive end. He just couldn't be stopped. And Justin Herbert just continued to make throw after throw after throw after throw. That was an absolutely amazing game. I think Twitter was going crazy. I think everybody thought that game was going to end in a tie. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to those two guys for putting on an absolute performance on Sunday Night Football. It was crazy. And also, one last big shout out to everybody here at Awthentik and the Beard who has come over to Over the Years, my other channel, during this season. We just crossed 3,000 subscribers last night. So just wanted to thank everybody because I know Ash Money was over there last night. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets was over there last night. Lucas is always there. Jameson. So big shout out to everybody in the chat. I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all the support from Awthentik and the Beard family for sure.
Okay, so you gave me a lot to digest there. I'm gonna rewind back here and talk about when you said you knew it was going to happen. You spoke for yourself. You corrected yourself on that, because for me, the way that the New York Giants have been operating in the past 10 years at least, this firing did not seem like it was going to happen to me because it didn't happen on Monday. That was very puzzling for me as a fan of this team, and it made me think that they were going to be going, and I think most Giants fans thought this, that we were going to be going into the direction of having Joe Judge as the coach for the rest of the season. Now, being that this news comes out today, and comes out of left field a little bit here, what I think, just my speculation of what happened here, is that they might have either their GM candidate or they might have their head coaching candidate. They locked it in a certain way possibly, or they see some good leadway that they're going to be able to bring in the guy that they want. And one of two things either happen here. If it's a GM, the GM said, I'm not moving forward with this guy, Joe Judge. We're going to have to fire him. Or, you landed on a head coach. And obviously, if you land on a head coach, maybe somebody like a guy like Harbaugh or some other names flying around there, then, it's inevitable that Joe Judge has to be fired there. Something is definitely sketchy that he wasn't fired on Monday because, in the opening statements, I talked about what John Mara had said, and he said, I said before the season started that I wanted to feel good about the direction we were headed when we played our last game of the season. So, to me, this is another lie from the New York Giants again here, okay? Because if this was the case, that you truly were invested in how you felt about this at the end of 17 games this year, then the firing would have happened on Monday. Tiki Barber went on WFAN today. He talked about it. Yesterday, they talked about it as well. Him and his co-host, I forget the co-host name. The other show on WFAN with, I always forget the homie's name. Something Carlton, I believe. Love their show, though. He's a great personality. They're both Jets fans. They talked about it today, about what a clown show the New York Giants are right now for committing to Joe Judge into the 2022 season. The other part that's alarming for me, Mara and them never really backed what was coming out in the media. I talked about this on our last show, on Thursday's show, how Ian Rappaport came out, and he was the one who was actually like copping and pleading for Joe Judge, almost like New York sent him a message like, here, go report this. Mara never came out and said, hey, we're committed to Joe Judge. The game on Sunday, we're going to get into that when we get into this recap. The game on Sunday, I'm sure, was a cherry on top, especially with the quarterback sneak situation. I even saw some viral videos of Mara walking off the field and fans screaming at him, clown organization. There's no way that you would want to move forward with a head coach like that when you're being screamed at like that, walking off a stadium that your family has a big investment in. The Mara family has been around for 100 years here now with the New York Giants, or pushing 100 years here. And there's a lot of, reputation on the line here. So I think he did kind of cave to the pressure of the fans. And also I think that they had a little trick bag on the side. They had an option. They weren't just banking on Joe Judge. They had an option of, hey, we're going to reach out to these GMs, or we're going to reach out to these head coaches. And it was circulating around Twitter, reports from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter and Josina Anderson about all the different people that the Giants were bringing in for interviews. Maybe they landed on the guy, and that guy said, hey, I'll take this job. I'm the guy for this job. but we're not going to do this moving forward with Joe Judge. And inevitably, it had to happen that Joe Judge was fired, which reminds me, the graphics department did send me some graphics for tonight's show. So I'm going to let you head to the chat, get some shout-outs going while I get this graphics up, and, just to kind of highlight what has happened here with the New York Giants.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw my face, but I got really excited just now when I heard graphics department.
Oh,
Big shout out to Coach Taylor. Appreciate you stopping by, Jameson. Thank you very much, sir. The heavyweight champion of the world is in the building. Thanks for stopping on by. We appreciate it. Raziel is in the building, said the clown's gone. Kevin, the PRF, is in the building as well. Says all other NFC East fans mourn. Lax Ofofo is in the building. Mr. Mini Guy is in the building. Word is in the building. Zachary's in the building. Die Hard Giants fan is in the building. Says breath of fresh air is so hyped. Old man Rob is in the building. Jay Jean's in the building. Mac the Giants fan. Sebastian's in the building. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Dominique is in the building. Commiserations to the beard as we fired no judgment. Big shout out to Dominic in the building. Stan is in the building. What's going on, brother? Says, what's up, beard and Haitian OGs? Expect disappointment and you'll be disappointed, but this one feels good as a Giants fan, not gonna lie.
Big facts.
Jason Ramsey's in the building. Tonio Bot, yo, what's good, is in the building. The biceps are everywhere. Appreciate all the love. The Hub is in the building.
Make sure y'all go check out the Hub. He's going to be going live tonight, too. I think he's going live at 8 o'clock. So we're trying to keep this show sweet and tight so that everybody can go over there and raid that party with the Hub at 8 o'clock, I believe, is when he's going live. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, the Hub, but good to see you in the building, my G.
Big shout out to Marjorie, always holding us down in the chat. Hope all is well. Ash Money's in the building to get back with Ash and Griffith. Make sure y'all go subscribe as well. Big shout out to the homie. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets for the $1.99 super chat. Says like, subscribe, and hit that bell, please. And thanks. Thank you. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. We appreciate it for sure. Big shout out to everybody in the building. E Suds is here. Patrick is excited. He wants to know, where do we go from here?
Only
congratulations.
Up, Pat. Only up.
Yeah, it's the only way to go, hopefully. Congratulations to Monique, one of our resident Dallas Cowboys fans. They are on their way to the playoffs, so congratulations
real
once
quickly,
again.
just to update people on the time Hub's going to be going on. It's going to be 8:45, so he says, take your time, gentlemen. You know what we're going to do, man. You know how it is. Appreciate you, Hub.
Big shout out, big shout out. Big shout out to Arthur's in the building. Bubs is in the building. Nick the Wick says,
NTW.
Let's go.
What's up, fam? What's up?
I know Nick the Wick came up 3 yards short on Josh Allen's passing yards on that parlay. I was watching that game for you. It was close, man. Unfortunately, can't win them all. Punkum 733 is in the building.
What up?
Mike
what up,
K
what up?
is in the building. Says, I wonder if they saw the backlash on Twitter, social media, and that influenced the late decision. Maybe not completely, but I wonder if that was the icing on the cake. And I did see at one point in the chat where Monique said that they definitely, the fan base had a influence on them firing Joe Judge as well. So I think that was really interesting. And she also says that they said that the 11-minute ramble contributed to it. And then the third down play, obviously, which we'll talk about, definitely had something to do with it as well. Cody Gents is in the building. Great to see you back around, buddy. Keep your head up.
Shout out to
Cody. Big day. Appreciate you taking time to come by and say what's up. Jeffrey is in the building as well.
Jeff, what
Appreciate everybody. Sabrina's here as well. We got a whole full house. Congrats on getting rid of the dork checking in on Facebook. As always,
dork is such a funny word.
Our man, James Funk. 40 Luck is in the building. Fire emojis everywhere. Big shout out to the Hub for the $10 super chat. Says Judge had potential. We are not in a position for potential to become reality. I think clean slate is the best way moving forward for the team. Same thing for Daniel Jones, by the way.
Ooh, same thing for Daniel Jones. Yeah, I think definitely now with a definitely going to be a new GM and a new head coach. I think Daniel Jones' job is definitely in question here. or at least there'll be some competition in the room here. But somebody's going to come in here and assess this thing the proper way. No more long leashes for the rookie quarterbacks. No pressure. Nobody out here trying to contend for their job. So for me, best man up, next man up, and the best man up. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see a quarterback coming here to at least challenge Daniel Jones, which is why I've been high on. If Malik Willis fall to that second round, the Giants better make a move on Malik Willis and make that happen for sure.
Big shout out to Zachary for the $2 super chat. Says Brandon Staley cost the Los Angeles Chargers a playoff spot.
Okay, so real briefly, I want to talk on this because I went back and I passed out at the end of that game and I went back and I rewatched it, right? Now, the clock was running down before he called the timeout anyway, and his defense wasn't set. The play clock was like around 4 or 5 seconds. The Las Vegas Raiders run a running play to Jacobs. He gets the first down anyway. If you're the Raiders, what are people thinking, that they were going to just kneel it out?
And I think that a lot of people. So during the broadcast, Chris Collinsworth kept like reiterating it over and over and over again. Like this was, the situation, and it was just this huge. Like just people going like really wanted a tie for some reason. Obviously, because it would have been an anomaly of sorts, But it's just weird because I think the post-game statements of Carr kind of made things a little funny there too, because he said that by them calling timeout, it changed their perspective of what was going to happen next. Okay,
right.
It affected their
especially
play
when you get that time to really think about it.
And I think
did it really affect the play calling? Let's say they were going for the tie.
So
wouldn't they be lined up in a kneel formation? They were lined up to run a running play at bare minimum. So I'm just kind of confused why people are kind of losing their mind about this, because to me it looked like the Raiders were trying to win the game, but in a very conservative fashion. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a chip shot. I mean, it's not like he's kicking an extra point.
It was like 41 yards or something like that, right?
I didn't understand it, and I did notice that Chris Collinsworth was going, as soon as he saw them call time, he's like, oh, and it's like, I'm watching this, rewatching it, and I'm paused it and looked at it. I'm like, I really don't understand why people making a big deal about this. I don't think he cost them the spot. The Raiders ran the ball on third down and got the first down. That cost them the spot.
Exactly.
He called the timeout to get his defense lined up out there to try to, make the best play they could on, I believe it was third down, which that whole thing is just a little bit interesting to me. But the main national media outlets I've seen have not jumped on this story that crazy, but I have been seeing it go around Twitter a good bit.
Yeah, and I think what most people were thinking during the actual game was that, okay, if they go and they line up for a field goal, what happens if it gets blocked or there's a botched snap and then the Chargers pick it up and score and then that's it, they lose, when they could just take a knee and make the playoffs. So it's just a lot of like theory and stuff like that. But I personally agree with you. I don't think that the timeout necessarily caused them a playoff spot. I mean, they went for it on fourth down on their own 13-yard line. So, I mean, if you want to talk about coaching decisions, I mean.
Let's go back to that one. Yeah, that's definitely facts right there.
It was just a crazy game all in all. I mean, one of the best games I've ever watched. It was just wild. The amount of fourth down conversions Justin Herbert made was just, I mean, it was crazy to watch.
The last drive from Herbert, I mean, he shows you that he's a very, very upper echelon quarterback. Some of the touchdown throw, and I know people like to rag on Chris Collinsworth as far as a analyst and announcer. He called that play to the T. He said, here comes Mike Williams. He's lined up at the bottom of the screen all by himself. They run that deep, like 14, 15-yard comeback, whatever it is. I mean, just a dime right on the button, right to Mike Williams, and Chris Collinsworth just calling for it, literally calling for it. Those are the kind of things that professionals like that know over people who are just regular fans like us. And I think a lot of people that are professional analysts, they get a little bit too much flack. Like, I see a lot of people in the Giants community, they hate Troy Aikman, they hate Joe Buck, they hate Chris Collinsworth. Like, well, who's doing a good job out here? Because we get up here and try to talk on a microphone 4 days a week, and trust me, it is not easy. You saw our play-by-play on Sunday, and it cannot hold a candle to somebody like Chris Collinsworth doing play-by-play. So I know he says bonehead stuff just like everybody does, but I was I damn near chopped up that clip because I was so impressed with him just calling the play. It almost reminded me of something like what Tony Romo would do, from an ex-quarterback kind of position, being an analyst now, where you see him kind of be like, oh, here they are, they're in cover two, they're about to hit him right across the middle, and then voila, you get the pass across the middle. But great, definitely a great game. Love what I saw out of Herbert in that game. It's unfortunate that they're not going to the playoffs because they really look like a playoff team. But when it comes to who would I remove from the playoffs to try to put the Chargers in, there's not really a team, out there. I think that every team that's in the AFC right now is very deserving of being in the playoffs, and same goes for the NFC. This is going to be one of the best, I think, playoff brackets we've seen in a pretty long time.
It's a tough bracket. I mean, there's a lot of rematches.
Oh, JG, Jonathan Vilma is garbage. Yes, I will give you that. That man be lost up there talking like he got CTE. I swear to God.
Yeah, a lot of rematches in the playoffs, so it's going to be a very interesting run. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers. Listen, the Steelers.
That is a good point there, but I like the Steelers in there because Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin, they battled all year long, man.
And
with
Watt,
not much on that roster. I mean, Watt's just a beast.
Yeah, he's just, they've played through a lot. They've had a lot of up and downs this year, so, but I mean, the Raiders is just impressive considering, I think that it's the first time that a head coach who replaced another coach in the middle of the season since like the 1970s, or I can't remember the exact year, that team has actually made the playoffs. So big shout out to the Raiders, yeah. And also big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. Says the only broadcasters I hate are Joe Buck and Mark Schlereth.
I think Joe Buck's not bad. The one thing about Joe Buck though is you could tell the true experience of football. He lacks that for sure. He does have some blunders, but I mean, the first thing foremost when you're an analyst or an announcer is you got to have a voice for it. And I think all those guys got the voice for it for sure, man. But I feel you on that.
Booger was kind of was a little very obvious broadcasting. Is the best way I could really.
Yeah, and he was never a real play-by-play kind of guy.
Yeah,
they used to have him on the sideline on the little in the truck and whatnot. Yeah, I like Tiki Barber when he calls games. I think Carl Banks is really good at calling games. I like that balance of when you have an ex-player because then they have that experience of being on the field, which is amazing. But I know we got a lot to talk about with the New York Giants game, hosting the Washington football team at home here and whatnot. But we do got to recap that Cowboys-Eagles game real quickly. We'll get that out the way, and then we'll come back to talking about the Washington game versus New York Giants and get a little bit more off into this Joe Judge firing kind of thing here and see where the Giants are going to move. And what direction we'll move into, moving forward and whatnot. But let's go ahead and dial up this Cowboys game, and then we'll get into these other ones here. So, real quickly here, y'all. And this game was, man, this game was like varsity versus JV. I don't know if y'all remember that when you played football back in the day when you had the bowl versus varsity versus JV. It could get real ugly. But with nothing to play for, the Philadelphia Eagles treated Saturday's game like a preseason final. Hurts, who finished with 3,144 yards passing and a team-high 784 yards rushing, got the night off. So did tackle Lane Johnson, cornerback Darius Slay, and 11 more players on the COVID-19 reserve list. With the Cowboys seeding for the playoffs up in the air, they approached this game as a must-win and had their starters in for most of the game. Dak Prescott showed no mercy and threw a career-high 5 touchdown passes, with Cedric Wilson and Dalton Schultz catching 2 touchdowns apiece. Corey Clement got a little revenge on his former team and caught Dak's 5th touchdown pass before Dak Prescott finally called it a night late in the second half. The Cowboys continue to build momentum going into the playoffs and took care of business on the road to beat the Philadelphia Eagles junior varsity team 51-26. With the win, the Cowboys clinched the number 3 playoff spot in the NFC and finished the season at 12-5. And I got this in my notes, as Monique predicted, while the Eagles finished the year as the 7th seed in the NFC at 9-8. So the Bucs will host the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bucs will be at home in that game. And the Cowboys will host the 49ers, who got into the playoffs in tremendous fashion. That was a great victory by the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, this game really was not, a real matchup here. Total yards, Dallas Cowboys had 475 yards, almost 500 yards of total offense. Philadelphia only had 315. Dallas Cowboys were 8 of 13 on third down, and Philadelphia wasn't that bad either. The Eagles were 10 of 18. But I think the biggest difference was yards per play. The Dallas Cowboys had 7.8 yards per play to the Philadelphia Eagles 4.5. Time of possession was fairly equal, but Dak Prescott was just a little bit too much. I mean, a really, really solid game out of Dak Prescott, a 98.6 QBR. Talked about the 5 touchdowns, 295 yards. He was very efficient, going 21 of 27. And Ezekiel Elliott, you know, they relied on him in that running game. It didn't look that pretty, but 18 carries for 87 yards. Corey Clement added 58 yards on 7 carries. And, I mean, Dallas really dominated this game. I mean, they scored 20 points in the second quarter, and they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Second time on the year scoring over 50 points. They put up 51 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I don't even think you really needed a true roadmap to get a victory against the Philadelphia Eagles here. The one thing I wanted to bring up about this game was I talked about Gardner Minshew and his stock going into the 2022 season. And I said I would not have played him in this game. I would have found a practice squad quarterback or whoever was dressed as backup, and I would have played him because Gardner Minshew now kind of came back down to earth here. 19 of 33, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times on a day. His QBR was 46.4. So I think now Gardner Minshew kind of goes back to what his value was when the Philadelphia Eagles actually traded for him, a 6th-round pick, and that's about it. So as far as the rest of this game goes, I think it's a great game for the Dallas Cowboys to get a little bit hype going into the playoffs because they could damn near do whatever they wanted on this day. You know, you could throw the ball to whoever. They had Cedric Wilson out here looking like CeeDee Lamb, and they didn't need their 2 top-notch wide receivers in this game. So for me, this the perfect alley-oop game to go into the playoffs and try to defeat the 49ers. What's that going to be next week when they face off at home against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I was completely shocked, obviously, when the news broke that the Eagles were pretty much going to rest all of their starters. And then they were actually in this game for a good portion.
That shocked you a little bit when you had the Philadelphia Eagles going out there with no starters because they really had nothing to play for on the day. You know, they weren't going to be able to increase their seeding at all as far as in the playoffs. But the Dallas Cowboys, we know they could have jumped up all the way to 3, and that is what ended up happening. Oh, I've got you muted now. Yeah, I'm not hearing no audio. So it looks like the Beard's going to have to restart here. We're going to take a little quick commercial break, and then we'll let him get his stuff together, and we'll come right back here, y'all. Apologies on that one time. We'll be right back.
Your wide receiver on IR? Aw, shucks. Your running back keep fumbling every week? Man, damn it all. Well, come chop it up with your boys. We are waiver wire tight. Awthentik and the Beard. Every Sunday morning, streaming live at 11 a.m.
All right, appreciate y'all hanging with us here while the Beard gets everything going over there. I don't know what's going on with his audio. Kind of got muted there, something like that. He'll enter when he's ready to go. I can see him backstage. But let's just go over some of this box score while he's getting things together over there. So I talked about Ezekiel Elliott, 18 carries for 87 yards, no touchdowns on the day. The Dallas Cowboys had 2 touchdowns on the ground. You're good, Beard. You're good. They had 2 touchdowns on the ground. One from Hardy, one from Smith. So backup running backs was even getting some action over there with the Dallas Cowboys. But the Beard, now that you got everything situated over there, man, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I was surprised because I didn't know that was going to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had Jalen Hurts as my starting quarterback in one of my DraftKings lineups, and I was literally doing a live card sale, and I get the notification that Jalen Hurts isn't playing anymore. So, like, that completely came out of this, you know, I didn't see it coming. And then, obviously, you know, then Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, everybody was out, so I kind of knew that was the case, and I guess at that point they just decided, what's the point of putting in Jalen Hurts if everybody else is going to be out with COVID anyway. So it made sense. Obviously, I think it also made sense for the Cowboys to kind of like go into this game on a high. I mean, go into the playoffs on a high note, especially considering they just lost that game to the Arizona Cardinals. So I thought that was super important for them. And Cedric Wilson once again proved that he can be a guy to fill in when any one of these wide receivers goes down. And in this instance, without Michael Gallup for the rest of the season, it's huge for them to have Cedric Wilson. I thought he had an absolutely amazing game. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was just horrendous. The Dallas Cowboys had 10 drives, 1 punt, and then the kneel to end the game. They scored on every single other possession that they had. So obviously they just couldn't stop the Cowboys from scoring. The red zone Cowboys were 5 of 5, and the Eagles 2 of 3. The turning point though was right at the end of the second, the end of the first half, when the Cowboys scored, and then the Eagles get the ball back. They punt the ball, and it was a horrible punt. And then like 5 plays later, the Cowboys score again. Next thing you know, the game is kind of going overtime, out of hand. They're down by 2 possessions at that point. But leading up to that point, they were matching with them for point. So it's interesting. You hate to see a team go into the playoffs getting beat that bad, but I think not having their starters, we kind of expected that at that situation, especially when Dallas was playing at full strength. Obviously, Dallas did rest Tony Pollard, and they still were able to manage to run the ball very well. They had 171 rushing yards on the day offensively, the Dallas Cowboys did. So I thought that was important, too, to kind of get all cylinders firing on that offense, whether it be the running backs or the wide receivers. Dalton Schultz had 2 touchdowns. So it was an important game for the Dallas Cowboys. I do think that they drew a very difficult first-round matchup, though, with the San Francisco 49ers. And obviously the Eagles drew a very difficult first-round matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not ideal matchups for either one of those teams. So we'll see how that pans out this weekend.
Dare I say the Cowboys might have the best matchup in the NFC right now?
As far as,
I mean, what other team would you want to play? Would you want to play the Rams? Would you want to play the Bucks? Definitely not, right? 49ers might be the best matchup, especially when you're facing a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who, he showed you some heroics in that Week 18 finale. But
maybe the Eagles. I mean, if I were the Cowboys, I probably would rather face the Eagles than the 49ers, but I mean, the 49ers to me have a better defense than the Eagles, but I think the Eagles have a more their running attack, as good as San Francisco's running game is. The Eagles can get at you from so many different levels, whether it's Miles Sanders, Gainwell, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Jalen Hurts. That's the big difference, obviously, is the running quarterback sort of situation. But, I mean, the 49ers, the way Deebo Samuel's playing, I think the 49ers are going to struggle to get pressure on the quarterback because they also have to worry about George Kittle at the tight end position. That when the tight end is that good, it really takes away some of the ability for your linebackers, especially to get in on some blitzes on the quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that matchup. And Deebo Samuel is just, I mean, the guy is been lights out this year. He has done,
he's been great.
Everything. He threw a touchdown this week. Ran for a touchdown. The guy catches the 50-yard pass at the end of the game. I mean, it was just, Deebo Samuel has really blossomed into, I might be, overreacting here a little bit, but I think he has blossomed into an all-around top 10 wide receiver in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, especially what he can do in the running game, how you can line him up in the backfield. You can line him up in the slot, run stop routes, hitch routes, things like that. He's very versatile. I don't even put him in that same category of just like A1 wide receivers. He's a different kind of Swiss Army knife. But the reason why I like the matchup against the 49ers is because if I'm the head coach and I'm game planning, to game plan for the San Francisco 49ers is not that difficult, defensively especially. Stop Deebo Samuel. That's really all you got to do. I'm willing to allow Kittle to be able to make a couple of plays here and there if in return I can stop a guy like Deebo Samuel. As far as the Philadelphia Eagles go, I think that could have been an equal or maybe a better matchup as well. But I think it's a little bit more difficult, especially coming off this game where you just faced them, but you're playing against straight up backups. So this tape is worthless here in Week 18 for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Cowboys. So I think that the Eagles do have a one-up here going into the playoffs. And I love what I'm seeing out of the NFC. I think that any one of these teams can beat any one of these other teams. I got the Packers as my front runner right now. I'm not too high on the Bucs just simply because of what they're dealing with in the locker room. Injuries, they don't have Antonio Brown going down this stretch here, a guy who can fill in for, any of the other wide receivers that might not be at 100%. But Mike Evans did come off a really big game. But I don't think that Mike Evans has not been that kind of wide receiver where you can expect those kind of games from him week in and week out. Granted, he's a solid, I would say, top 20 wide receiver in the NFL. But there's just a couple of things I feel like game plan-wise and matchup-wise that might yield better for the Cowboys against the 49ers than it would against the Eagles. And we all know, especially as Giants fans, when you got to play that team twice in the regular season, when you see them in the postseason, it's a whole different ballgame. The Giants definitely found ways to take care of teams that beat them in the regular season during our Super Bowl runs. And, with the firing of Joe Judge, we're all looking to get back to that same, form we were in back in 2011 and 2007 when we got these Super Bowls. So we'll see, man. I'm looking forward to the coverage of the playoffs, and being that we got two NFC East teams on a podcast that's predominantly or just really all NFC East coverage. It's good that we're going to have two teams and two different games that we're going to be able to cover, so our format won't change too much. But I think it's going to be a tall task for the Cowboys to try to stop Deebo Samuel in the playoffs. It should be fun. It should be interesting. We'll see if this Cowboys offense can be clicking on all cylinders too. I think that's very important for them. CeeDee Lamb not being a part of this game, not having a big game and whatnot. Are we going to be able to just turn it on in the playoffs? Is going to be a good question for the Cowboys. So this week of preparation definitely going to be important for them, but don't want to linger too much on this game because we know we got to get to this other game, and we got a lot of big news to get to. So good luck to the Cowboys. Monique, thank you for the 5-star rating you gave us earlier on in the show. We definitely appreciate that, and try to give you a little shout out on that intro one time. But let's move to this next game, man, and talk about what happened with the Washington football team against the New York Giants, and then we can talk about moving forward what the New York Giants are going to do in the front office and at the head coaching position here one time. Let me get this dialed up, and my notes were a little bit out of order.
Ooh,
that beat screams football. That beat screams football right there. All right, so this one's a little bit lengthy. It's not too lengthy. All right. The Giants' 2021 season officially ended Sunday with another one-sided loss, highlighting their consistently unproductive offense. Struggling to move the ball all day, the Giants finished with 177 total yards, 83 net passing yards, just 10 first downs, and one measly touchdown in the fourth quarter. They scored just 2 touchdowns in their final 4 games of the season. Washington didn't look great, but found a way to put the game away, largely in part to running back Antonio Gibson, who racked up 146 yards on 21 carries. The Giants fell to the Washington football team 22-7. The defeat was the Giants' 6th in a row and left them with a 4-13 record on the season. Washington finishes the year with 7 wins for the 2nd consecutive year, but this time it did not result in a playoff berth or a division title, thank God. The Giants have not won more than 6 games since 2016, and both franchises will head into the offseason with question marks looming over both teams, especially at the quarterback position. Let's go over a couple of stats here before we talk about the roadmap that the Beard kind of put down on Thursday. We were doing a little bit of over-under vibes. We should kind of check in on those. I don't got them here on the graphics on the side, but I do got them on the side where we can talk about them. But third down, Washington was absolutely awful on third down. 3 of 13 on third down. The New York Giants were 6 of 17, not that much better. And in the red zone, Washington was 1 for 3. The New York Giants got 1 attempt in the red zone again for the 2nd consecutive week, and we were 0 for 1 in the red zone. Washington definitely fulfilled the Beard's roadmap here with the rushing attempts. They got to 37 rushing attempts on the day, while the New York Giants got 25. And this was the statistic that stood out to me, is that yards per carry. Washington had 5.6 yards per carry. The New York Giants had 2.4 yards per carry. And Washington ended the day with 226 total rushing yards to the New York Giants' 94. Now, in the normal circumstances, that 94 yards by the New York Giants, that's pretty decent for a team like us. We've been pretty bad at running the rock this year. Yards per pass didn't fare that much better for the New York Giants. We were 2.4 yards per pass on the day. Washington wasn't that much better at 4.7 yards per day. Defensively, Bobby McCain stood out for the Washington football team. He had 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six. Antonio Gibson, who missed last week's game because he was on the COVID reserve list, the 21 carries and the 146 yards on the ground, that's a career high, including an 18-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. Him and Terry McLaurin both go over 1,000 yards. That's the first time that's happened since 2014 when Deshaun Jackson and Alfred Morris, shout out to Alfred Morris, man. He was a good running back for y'all for a good long time there. Both of them went over 1,000 yards. Did you just do the home run swing just now? I thought I just saw that in my peripheral. And I think one of the major topics that everybody was talking about after this game was on a second quarter series that began inside the 5-yard line. The Giants called a quarterback sneak on second, not only second down, but on third down as well, just to give punter Riley Dixon a few more yards to operate. Now, at the time, the score was 3-0. So all the Giants had to do was try to find a way to gather up some yards there, get the ball down the field, maybe get into field goal territory and get Graham Gano a shot. I don't think Graham Gano, this is crazy that the Giants just couldn't even get Graham Gano in position. Automatic Gano didn't even get too many opportunities in this game to kick any field goals. I just think when you got to rely on 2 quarterback sneaks to try to gain a little bit of room, maybe that was one of the main points that got Joe Judge fired, because if I'm a head coach, or if I'm not a head coach, if I'm an owner sitting in the box and I see you run 2 quarterback sneaks, I'm looking at everybody crazy. I'm looking at the head coach crazy. And I'm going to be looking at my man Jake Fromm a little bit crazy too. Like, maybe this was a test for you, Jake Fromm. You should have pulled your best impersonation of Johnny Moxon and straight up called an audible and just switched up out of that. That's what we said during the live broadcast. I saw Aaron Rodgers today on Pat McAfee pretty much making a mockery of the New York Giants, saying if I forget who the offensive coordinator is for the Green Bay Packers, but he was like, don't get no ideas, because if you call a quarterback sneak while I'm on my own 4-yard line, there's no way I'm going to go through with that play. And they were all laughing about it. And then Aaron Rodgers said, no, seriously, this is not a laughing matter. I'm not playing no games right now. This is not funny. The Giants finally got on board with Jake Fromm's 22-yard touchdown pass to Darius Slayton late in the game, which showed you that if you threw the ball down the field, maybe some good things can happen. The Giants were relying on a lot of short passes, not the typical stick routes and comeback routes from your boy Jason Garrett. They were running like some deep out routes way on the sideline. Jake Fromm super late on every out route. I saw the interception coming. Shout out to everybody who tuned into the play-by-play. I was very miserable throughout that whole play-by-play, watching my New York Giants pretty much, forfeit a game that the Washington football team gave us a lot of chances to win this game. But Washington ends up ending their 4-game losing streak. I talked about this on Thursday. They had a 4-game losing streak early on in the season, then a 4-game losing streak right after. A 4-game winning streak right after that 4-game losing streak, and then a 4-game losing streak to finish that out. And finally, you get a win to end the season. I'm sure Washington fans feel a little bit better about your season moving forward, but you didn't help your draft stock that much. And the New York Giants are going to go into this offseason trying to figure out what we're going to do with these 10 draft picks, man. But let me just talk about QBR real quick in this game, okay? Because there was some bad quarterback play in this game. Now, Jake Fromm, he had a horrible day. 15 of 31, 80 or 103 yards. I'm sorry, 83 net.
He did break 100 yards.
But that wasn't the over-under. The over-under was for 175 yards, and we didn't get there.
It's better than the 25.
Definitely better than the 25. Instead of his 6 completions in his first start, he got 15 completions, 31 throws, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times for 20 yards lost. This man's QBR was 33.8. Now, this is where I start to look at QBR and go, QBR is a little funny. It's just a little funny to me because Jake Fromm on the day here, he's just under 50%, which is nuts for an NFL quarterback, okay? But now, on the opposite side of things here with Taylor Heinicke, he was 50%. He had more yards than Jake Fromm, less interceptions. Jake Fromm had 2 interceptions. I know Taylor Heinicke didn't throw for no touchdown. Yeah. Why is his QBR 5? His QBR in a day was 5. Jake Fromm's QBR is 33.8 with 2 interceptions, less yards, less completion percentage. I'm starting to I might have to just throw QBR out the door straight up because to me that doesn't make no sense. I know the other guy got 1 touchdown, but in return he got 2 interceptions. He turned the ball over twice. He has less yards, lower completion percentage. He was sacked the exact same amount of times for 1 yard less, but his QBR is 28 higher than the other guy. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense, bro.
I'll have to. I have to sit down and revisit the algorithm for
the algorithm.
The algorithm.
Jamaica, man. The algorithm.
The algorithm. I gotta look at that algorithm because it don't make no sense.
Yeah, that's not making any sense.
I don't have an answer for you, but I mean it's bad. I know Carson Wentz had something that was really bad this weekend too when it comes to that QBR. I mean they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We didn't even mention that earlier.
With everything on the line, man, that must feel that's a low. That's the kind of embarrassing L and mistake that you gonna sleep with for a year, bro, and you just gonna wake up randomly from a nightmare oh God, Jaguars beat us. It wasn't a nightmare. Oh God, it's real life. Oh God. Or you have the dream, right? You have the dream scenario where you actually have a dream where it's you beat them and you went to the playoffs and you won the Super Bowl and Carson Wentz is the MVP and you wake up and you go, oh, God, back to reality. We just lost to the Jags with everything on the line. And that makes 6 straight, I believe, at home for the Jags.
Yeah.
Beating the Colts, ridiculous.
I mean, listen, you literally go to Jacksonville, the worst team in the league, to win the game. It's so bad in Jacksonville that literally they're all wearing clown stuff.
Uniforms. I know. That's
and you
crazy.
still lose?
You know those clowns
bad.
probably felt real stupid. They probably felt real stupid when you get a win and you got to be dressed up as a damn clown the whole game, probably thinking that your Jacksonville Jaguars are going to completely botch the game. Instead, they get a win, man. But what were your thoughts as far as Washington and how they approach this game? How do you feel about Washington football team moving forward? Because for me, if I'm a Washington football team fan, I don't feel that great on Monday morning after seeing that game.
No. Before I get into that, big shout out to the homie Caitlin Dragon56 for the $1.99 super chat. Says Judge gone, and we didn't have to go back to the tape.
Sure didn't.
I mean, listen, this was a very disappointing season, obviously, for the Washington football team. I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses for anything. That's not what I am. I'm not in the business of making excuses. We dealt with injuries. We dealt with COVID. Every single team in the National Football League does. You just need to, if you're in that sort of situation, you have to be well coached and you have to have an organization that has put those coaches in a position when it comes to depth to handle injuries and COVID in this day and age in football, and we just weren't there. And it showed throughout portions of the season, especially when we had that second 4-game losing streak. Taylor Heineke, he did his best, and I mean, I commend him. The dude came from nothing, and he made something of himself, and I think, I wouldn't rule him out being the starting quarterback week 1 next year. And I think that really just depends on where the front office decides to go, whether it's, drafting a quarterback or another stopgap quarterback like we did with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Because if you draft a quarterback and you don't go the stopgap situation, then you're going to have to start Taylor Heineke.
And I wouldn't go stopgap in y'all's situation. I think that Taylor Heineke is a stopgap quarterback, and he's probably one of the better ones as far as who's on the market right now. Because, when we think about stopgap quarterbacks right now, we're looking at Marcus Mariota. He hasn't really proven he can play football like that. They've been putting him in these wildcat running packages. But outside of him, you're hoping that a guy like Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be in Denver. Maybe a Cam Newton. I would probably take Cam Newton over Taylor Heineke. Probably gives you a better chance to win. Or maybe kind of pair them together. Maybe we could do a little college vibes, dual quarterback system here. Because Taylor Heineke is limited.
Yeah, he's definitely limited. I mean, listen, and that's, I think, what was one of the biggest problems. And obviously, it looks like we're going to be sticking with both of our coordinators, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I personally, both of them were on the fringe for me. I wouldn't have been upset if we let go of both our coordinators. And with Scott Turner, it's okay, yeah, he hasn't had a quarterback since he's been here. I understand that. But if you don't, your job is to create a game plan based upon the personnel that you have. And this is the one thing I think that has made me the most frustrated with this coaching staff in Washington over the last 2 seasons. It's like they're so stubborn. Like, we're going to do it this way. You're going to do this. Like William Jackson, for example. We brought William Jackson in here, and he completely didn't use him at what he was good at. And the reason why he was good in Cincinnati, the reason why he was a sought-after free agent, we brought him in here and tried to make him do the things that we do as a defense or as a defensive coordinator, and it didn't suit him as the player. Like, you have the players. It's your job as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, to create a game plan based upon the personnel that you have and the team that you're playing against. And I just, time and time again, I felt like that was not the case with this coaching staff, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Like, Taylor Heineke can't throw the ball down the field. We understand that, but that doesn't mean that he can't throw the ball. You just, there's so many times during this season in games where they just completely abandoned the run, and I felt like it sounds cliche, but the team never really got the identity. And I think the identity should have been to run the ball and to be ferocious defensively. I thought that defensively, it was very underwhelming. There was just a very a lack of ferociousness. I mean, it might sound crazy when I say it, but I mean, it felt like very laid back defensively. And I thought that you have all of these weapons on the defensive side of the ball, and you're just, I mean, one positive thing was the change with Landon Collins, but that took 6 weeks into the season before they made that change. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stubbornness that's going on in that coaching
I think
staff.
there's a bit of ego that happens with every coach in the NFL. When you're designing plays and schemes and philosophy, you design what you think is best. And yeah, I kind of understand why offensive coordinators and coaches are trying to bring players into their scheme. They're not looking at it like, hey, how can I bring this free agent person over here to come play for me and bring his style over here? They're thinking, how can that guy fit within our scheme that we run over here? So I kind of get it because, Turner's a bit proven too, so he's looking at it like, my ego is in the way here.
But is he really proven, though?
I mean, he's proven to the point where he's been in the league for a long time. He's trusted. How about that? You like that word better?
Yeah,
he's trusted, okay? So, and when he's bringing players over, he's thinking, how can you fit within my scheme? And when it doesn't work, then that's when you have a problem. But I also think that 6-7 weeks, in regards to what they did with Landon Collins, you're looking at a guy that's like, where does he fit? He's been banged up. You didn't get to see a full season last year. And I think with you guys, it's more of a roster issue to get you guys over the hump. When you tell me that Antonio Gibson was hurt this year and knocked out of games with COVID and that the Washington football team still got the 7 wins, I think it's pretty impressive considering the roster that you have, especially offensively. I think that the Washington football team is very strapped, just like the New York Giants are, but I do think that y'all use y'all weapons a little bit better than we do. Seeing Saquon Barkley on Sunday, it was so disheartening because they're just trying to turn him into a different style of running back than he really is. And we said this during the broadcast. The fact that you can't find a way to scheme up Saquon Barkley and get him into open space is completely ridiculous, especially when you got a guy like Kenny Galladay out there who we know safeties are still playing over the top on Kenny Galladay. Granted, he's not getting the receptions that not only that he deserves, but the receptions that we expected as fans. He's still out there demanding 2 people covering him on the field. So for me, that leaves Saquon Barkley in the backfield to be the guy that you should be scheming up. He should be a central figure in this offense the same way that I've been saying Alvin Kamara is with the New Orleans Saints. And you should die on that. Where were the screenplays on Sunday against the Washington football team? They were non-existent. All we did was run Saquon Barkley up the middle, and that's why that average yards per carry was so low, sitting around whatever that was, 2.4 or whatever it is, because you're just trying to hope that Saquon Barkley and this offensive line can create running lanes on their own. There's no real scheme to what they're trying to do in the running game, and they're just trying to commit to it, which is one thing, but you got to try to find ways to actually be able to put the Washington football team's defense on their heels and find a way to throw the ball down the field. This whole 5-yard out, 3-yard out kind of system they were running, and then all the screens going to the tight ends. It's hard to be able to get a tight end out in the open field and create space, especially with guys like Rudolph. He got 2 of the screens that we had on Sunday. And it's just like, why are you running that play?
With Kyle Rudolph, he runs like a 6'9", 40-yard dash.
It's
you know
ridiculous. And
like,
they did that with the, when they tried the double reverse flea flicker screen. They tried it once with Ingram and tried it once with Rudolph. And it's like,
on the fourth down play too. It was a fourth down play, right?
That wasn't in this game. That wasn't in this game. This was a couple weeks back because we've seen success.
Okay.
We ran that play twice this year. The first time we ran it, it completely got blown up. And then the second time we ran it, we saw a little bit of success on it. We gained like 20, 25 yards on it. But I mean, I don't know if this is Freddie Kitchens. To me, it screams that this was more Joe Judge just being conservative. I mean, you saw this guy run 2 quarterback sneaks in his own territory. When the game is literally in reach, we talked about this with the Washington football team being up just 6-0 at the half. You're so fortunate as a New York Giants player, coach, whatever, being a part of that team. You're so fortunate to only be down by 6 to a team that's literally letting you just hang around. But you're not making no attacks. You talk about being ferocious. Offensively, the New York Giants could not. It couldn't be any less ferocious. Like, let's take some shots here.
It was almost like they wanted to get fired. I mean,
right.
I said that at one point because, like, it's like they didn't want the game. And I mean, it would have been an absolute complete embarrassment. I think this is the best outcome of this game possible for both fan bases, Washington and New York. Because now the New York Giants, it was the icing on the cake, the cherry on top to get Joe Judge fired, right? And Washington avoided another absolute embarrassment. And you remember what I said? I said the worst possible case scenario for me as a Washington football team fan would have been to lose to the Giants, watch Dallas win the Super Bowl, and then wake up and our name be the presidents.
Oh yeah,
on 2/2/22. Yep. So it's just like there's a lot going on, and I think before I get to my next point, big shout out to the independent outsider for the $5 super chat. Says, Awthentik, what do you want to see in Giants identity in the next 3 years? Excellent O-line, D-line for me. Sad because that was promised 4 years. Excited for the draft.
Yeah, appreciate you with the $5 super chat, independent outsider. For me, I don't see the identity of a team being the offensive line. That's one, okay? Because even when you look at a team like the Dallas Cowboys, right, or you look at a team like the Cleveland Browns, 2 of the better offensive lines in this league, nobody goes the identity is the offensive line. In Cleveland, the identity is Nick Chubb. In Dallas, the identity is the weapons, let's say. You could say Zeke, you could say Pollard, you could say Dak, you could say Amari, you could say CeeDee Lamb, you could say Schultz. I mean, they have the weapons that every team, I think, is clamoring for and trying to get on their roster. For me, and this is just me, and I'm a guy who, when I watch football, the trenches, I'm watching it secondary, like most fans. I'm looking at where that ball going. I would love to see the identity of this team be the quarterback. Now, whether or not that can be Daniel Jones or not, I don't think that's the case. We've seen now 3 seasons of Daniel Jones, 3 injuries with Daniel Jones, at least 3 injuries. We've really had about 5 injuries, actually. I think we've had 5 injuries, 2 this year, 2 last year. I don't know how much faith I got left in Daniel Jones to be that identity. Now, with that said, I think it's very important that you got to build up this offensive line. The defensive line has been kind of coming around, turning that bend as of late, if you ask me. With Roche playing well, I think that Leonard Williams is clearly overpaid. I mean, when you see a guy just getting stood up on the line for the most part, that's not a good thing. I know some of his skill set is about plugging the run and not getting to the quarterback. But for me, when you're spending $20 million on a guy, he's got to do more than what Leonard Williams does for the New York Giants. So maybe he's a guy who's expendable at this moment in time. I'm not too sure. But love what I'm seeing out of Azeez. I think Lorenzo Carter deserves at least a 1-year prove-it deal. But they sent him to the podium for the pressers that were released after the game on Sunday. He was giving vibes like he's totally not he's not going to be coming back as a New York Giant. He was saying stuff like, it's really good to go out there one last time with my brothers and be able to show what I can do going into free agency. He talked about football being first and, the money being an aspect, but not being one of the number one aspects. So I don't think Carter will be back. But for me, man, I would love to have the identity of this team be a quarterback. I think right now, I might bump up and even go a little bit more bull-like on this take that I'm about to say here. But the Giants need to go out there and get Malik Willis, especially if he's there in the second round. Now, a lot of people thinking, he's not going to be there for the second round because he's too high of a prospect. If you miss out on him on the first round, I'll be okay with it. But I'm starting to lean. If you hear Malik Willis might be getting drafted in that first round, you might want to spend one of these first-round draft picks to go and get your quarterback, because offensive line is one thing. One more stud on this offensive line, this whole unit is going to change. So I don't think that you got to go out there and just go. I've been seeing people on Twitter saying we need to spend 9 of the 10 draft picks on offensive line.
I mean, that's just
it's ridiculous.
It's
I won't call it stupid, because if you spent 9 picks on the offensive line and it still ain't fixed, there's a major problem, okay? But at the same time, you got Andrew Thomas sitting there at that left tackle that is solidified. Check that box, right? Now you just need to get some more players across the line. And also, you got to keep in mind that there's a 17-game season here, so depth is very important. There's guys out there. I just think Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman are just trash at trying to assess what people to bring, what offensive linemen to bring in. You look at the trade for Bredesen, I think we gave up like a third and a fourth for that guy. You look at the trade for Price, we allowed B.J. Hill to go for him, who's a guy who broke the sack record for rookies for the New York Giants. Now you've given up stock that is proven for guys that they even told us that Billy Price was never going to be a starting offensive lineman. And they still went out there in a panic trying to get everything proper and situated for Daniel Jones going into 2021. So, that it's a little bit long-winded there, but for me, the identity should start at the quarterback position. And if you look around the league, most teams, the identity is at the quarterback position. Yeah, you got those exceptions to the rules, like the Tennessee Titans, like the Cleveland Browns, but most teams out here that are doing things, if we look at all these teams in the playoffs out here right now, most of it is predicated on quarterback play. Say what you want about the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger still out there leading that team, and people will find out what it's like when a veteran quarterback leaves that system and you bring in that rookie, just like the New York Giants did. Tampa Bay is predicated on the quarterback. Dallas Cowboys, quarterback. Los Angeles Rams, they got weapons, Cooper Kupp, but it's the quarterback who's got to get them the ball. Arizona Cardinals, same exact thing. You got Kyler Murray over there. Yeah, you got D-Hop, but the identity is Kyler Murray. San Francisco 49ers, they're another anomaly out there that they get it done. I think the identity of the 49ers is really Kyle Shanahan, but the Philadelphia Eagles, say what you want about the Eagles. The identity of the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts. That is what it is. And me and the Beard have been saying this since day one of this season, that Jalen Hurts was going to be a guy and his running capabilities are going to put the league on notice. And that's exactly what happened. So for me, go out there, get that find a way to get that quarterback. If you don't get him this year, you better get him next year. Seeing Bryce Young play in the championship game the other night, I haven't seen a lot of tape on Bryce Young yet because I don't watch a ton of college football. I do most of my studying in the offseason. If I had to go off just that one game, he's not the guy. He's not the guy that I would want here in New York to be waiting until 2023. Go look at Malik Willis play. My man Tim from Online Big Blue is always hammering this one point when he talks about Malik Willis. He says, don't look at the outcomes of the plays. Look at the player during the play. Just like how when you scout an offensive lineman, we're not looking to see how many yards the running back got on the run. We're trying to see if that offensive lineman is pancaking defensive linemen. So for Malik Willis, I challenge y'all that when you go look at his tape, look at some of the situations that he's able to get himself out of. And people were comparing him to Mike Vick early on. I was kind of like, I don't know, you might want to pump the brakes on the Mike Vick thing, right? I was looking at him more like a Jalen Hurts. The more and more I look at the tape, I'm like, yo, this kid looks like Mike Vick. I can remember a play where Mike Vick almost got sacked in the pocket, like way back. And I feel like Mike Vick has done this multiple times. But the way he spin coming out when somebody hits him, Malik Willis reminds me a lot of that. I'm not saying Malik Willis is going to be a Mike Vick or anything like that, but the skill set looks good. You look at the 50-yard pass that he threw in that bowl game where he rolled to his right after getting hella pressure. He does it no problem. So for me, identity, go get that quarterback. If you get that quarterback, everybody on this offensive side of the ball on this roster is going to be better, and you can make a few upgrades. I like keeping Kenny Galladay here, give him another chance with another quarterback. It's very clear that Daniel Jones was gun-shy when it came to Kenny Galladay.
Big shout out to Don Vito for the $1.99 super chat. Says, Brian Flores, get that guy in New York right now.
I like the Brian Flores stuff, but it's been up and down. It's been up and down. You lost 7 games in this season. That's a little bit concerning for me right there. 5-11 as a rookie head coach in 2019, because he was with the Miami Dolphins already. You can't forget about that. So he knew what was going on in that locker room when Gase was over there. And then you get promoted to be the head coach in 2019. You start off with a 5-11 record. That 10-6 record from last season looks to be a little bit of an anomaly, a little bit. I like Brian Flores. I think he's the best coach from the New England Bill Belichick coaching tree. But what we look like going back-to-back, with the odds of how Patriot coaches have been, what we look like going back-to-back Patriot coaches. Y'all tell me about that.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing you got to think about. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I only laugh because it crossed my mind. Because earlier in the show, when I was giving like my whole Brian Flores, Deshaun Watson, process of thinking to New York in my head, that also crossed my head was the fact that, I mean, I don't know, do they go back to back?
Another Patriots coach? I kind of would rather not. I think right now my top prospect is Harbaugh. I think 4 years in San Francisco, no losing records, all winning records except the one 8-8 record. He never really had a stud at quarterback. Colin Kaepernick was pretty decent. Alex Smith was pretty decent, but he's never had a stud at quarterback. So I just try to imagine what he could be like as a stud at quarterback. Going back to Brian Flores a little bit, it kind of reminds me, and shout out to Tim from Big Blue one more time. He was talking about this today. When he talked about Leonard Williams, he was like, you can't just look at a guy's one season where he was a outstanding performer, right? He's like, you got to take it into a whole. Also, shout out to Logic's Finest, who tunes into our show a whole lot. He actually popped in on the stream with Tim from Online Big Blue today and brought up a point about how he's been a New Yorker since day one. He's never seen football this bad. He's been watching football since the 70s and said he never saw football this bad. He said, I've watched the Jets and the Giants the whole time. I remember when the Jets first got Leonard Williams. You look at Leonard Williams' first couple years in the league, I got the stats pulled up right here. 2015, this is how it started all the way up to 2021. 2015, 3 sacks. Then he went to 7 sacks, 2 sacks, 5 sacks, no sacks, a half a sack, 11.5 sacks with the New York Giants in 2020. And then he regressed this year and went back down to 6.5 sacks. So you can't look at Leonard Williams as an 11.5 sack guy and go out there and throw him the bag like that. And I think the same kind of thing applies for Brian Flores. If you remove that outlier season of 10-6 with the Miami Dolphins, he looks like a pretty below average coach. It scares me that he's coming from the Patriots organization because Bill Belichick is one of the best bosses. I said this around the time when Joe Judge was on the hot seat. Just because you're a good boss don't mean that your employees are going to make a good boss, okay?
Yeah.
A good boss can find good employees, but it doesn't mean that he's going to find a good boss. So that's how I feel about Brian Flores moving forward. Will I be mad if the Giants hire Brian Flores? Absolutely not. Anything at this point from Joe Judge to me is going to be an upgrade. We just hit our low as New York Giants fans. 13 losses from one head coach. We ain't never seen that get done ever. And I think, the only way is up from now, for sure.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, that's the second and third down victory formation kneels is quite possibly one of the lowest moments that, of all. Like, I mean, that is nationwide, worldwide laughter and embarrassment at the New York Football Giants organization at that point. I mean, that's like butt fumble-esque. I mean, worse than butt fumble-esque. I mean, it was
bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Big shout out to Lax Ofofo for the $4.99 super chat. Says Malik Willis in the top 10 would be a garbage pick. It would be like Daniel Jones all over again.
You could say that, right? But the Buffalo Bills reached on a quarterback too in the top 10, and look how that panned out for them. He's looking like a damn stud right now. So my thing is like, I'm not in the scouting department. I'm only using my eyes as a fan. And I will never sit up here and tell y'all, what Awthentik says is all facts. And if I'm saying draft Malik Willis, then he's going to be a straight up stud. All I can do is use my eyes, just like how I did when assessing Jalen Hurts, okay? But if you reach and you feel like that is the guy, because Daniel Jones as a number 6 pick, I can name so many other quarterbacks that were drafted in the top 10 that are so much more garbage than Daniel Jones. And if you've paid attention to what's happened up here on Awthentik and the Beard throughout Daniel Jones' whole tenure, I've never not once called that quarterback garbage because Daniel Jones is not garbage. Let's get that completely
There's
straight.
garbage out there.
There's garbage, okay? Ponder, that's garbage right there, okay? Sam Darnold, he's looking like garbage right now, okay? Daniel Jones is an average quarterback on a bad team, on a really bad team, okay? We've seen, and me and the Beard are working on this show for y'all too. We're going to break down every top 10 quarterback pick of the past 10 years. Don't nobody steal this idea out there, you content creators listening, okay? We're going to break down every top 10 quarterback of the past 10 years, maybe 20. There's been hella awful picks. There's been Jameis Winston's out there. There's been so many garbage top 10 quarterback picks that have failed. So for me, Daniel Jones is average. Would it be a reach to go for a guy that's playing quarterback at Liberty? It might be. But if you see that talent there, go get that talent. We've already seen it with multiple quarterbacks. Look at Dak Prescott. Look at Carson Wentz, who granted had a terrible Week 18. There's been quarterbacks who come out of smaller schools that see success in the NFL. Just get the guy in the scouting department or the team in the scouting department that can assess this situation right. Don't let me see one of these quarterbacks from this draft go to another team and completely excel. I'm going to lose my mind, okay? If I got to go see Malik Willis pull an exact move like Jalen Hurts, because I remember looking at the contracts from Jalen Hurts and looking at the contract from Daniel Jones and comparing them, and I was like, damn, that's a steal. You get a quarterback like that in the second round that you can literally build the whole damn offense around. And here we are in New York struggling with a guy who has no pocket awareness, no presence, can't read the field. He's just an average quarterback. You could get it done with an average quarterback, that's for sure. But if they let the guy go in this draft and I got to go look at another guy like a Herbert or like even like a Jalen Hurts or a Wentz or any of these quarterbacks, I'm looking at Davis Mills right now excel with the Houston Texans. I don't want to hear about this top 10 expectation. Get the right quarterback. Whether you get him in the second round, whether you get him as the second pick in the first round, or if you got to spend that first pick in the first round. If you start getting word that somebody's about to draft Malik Willis and he's the guy that you want, you better go out there and go get him by any means necessary. You got 10 draft picks, man. You got 10 draft picks.
What if Washington gets Malik Willis?
Hey, then I'm going to be rooting for, a Malik Willis up here in Washington for sure. I was rooting for RG3. Remember that? I was rooting for RG3. I wanted to see him shine. Quarterbacks like that don't get enough chances in the NFL. And people want to downplay them all the time, just like Jalen Hurts was getting downplayed at the beginning of this year. The conversations about Daniel Jones.
Not even the beginning of the year, but when he got drafted. I remember when he got drafted, I came in and said that was probably the steal of the draft. And everybody, I remember
you did also say Jordan Love too, and that was not looking like the steal of the draft. Well, but my thing is when they announced he was the starter, when they because you remember when the Nate Sudfeld thing happened and the tank job happened at the end of the year, my speculation was what? That the Philadelphia Eagles are doing that because they were going to go out there and draft a quarterback in the first round. They did not do that. They showed faith in Jalen Hurts and said, we need to go get the kid a weapon. Traded up, snaked the New York Giants, and got Devonta at wide receiver. So that's a weapon that's going to grow with Jalen Hurts when a lot of people thought that was not going to work. And what I was going to say before that, too, was the conversations that were happening about Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the year. Now, you got some people that are stupid to still hang their hats on this, that Daniel Jones still looks like the better quarterback. We got to come back down to earth here, okay? Jalen Hurts is winning that argument right now. He's playing better football. You can find the game plan to put around that kid easier because you look at his skill set and you go, throwing the ball is not the number one skill set. Running the ball is definitely a skill set. And if you try to bring a lot of pressure on a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, he's savvy enough and quick enough to get rid of the ball. You got a reliable tight end over there who they just gave the bag to. And now the Philadelphia Eagles, who are looking like a laughing stock entering the season as far as the NFC East goes, and I think me and you both kind of fell for that a little bit as well. Now they're looking like this team is probably poised to make a run here and possibly make an upset in the first round here in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says salute to you, Awthentik. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for Giants Nation, slam all Eagles fans, lehu zahers out of doors all day. Forget about it.
Forget about it. Shout out my man Tuto one time in the building. I'm sure he's smiling from ear to ear today. Granted, we don't got Moron Mara out of the locker room, but we did get rid of 2 of the 3 Stooges, so I think that should yield well.
Facts. Big shout out to Kevin, the PRF, for the $5 super chat. Says, Awthentik breaking down Giants needs. I can just back up the stream to watch twice and insert Washington because we need all the same stuff. And that was probably 30 minutes ago. That was one of the things I was going to bring up, was about how I think there's a lot of similarities in offseason needs and what needs to be addressed for these teams, particularly the quarterback position, linebacker play for Washington, obviously,
O-line.
and then offensive line. We did secure the bag with Charles Leno, which ended up being an amazing free agent pickup this last offseason. So not all has lost there, but obviously, the
Depth-wise,
Brandon.
though, you saw it this year when you guys started getting banged up. That really hurt y'all in the running game and in the passing game. So I think
there. I mean, we were down 4 or 5.
Right.
4th, 5th string. I mean, that's you can only build so much depth. You can't keep 30 offensive linemen on the roster. You know what I'm
Obviously,
saying? But
I'm not
first,
sitting up here
second,
saying
and
go
third.
draft a lineman with your first round pick or nothing like that. But to think that y'all don't got to address the offensive line would be a little crazy.
I mean, I think that's one of the least of our worries, considering where we are as a team.
Well, if that's the
line.
case, then we know y'all don't need any upgrades on the defensive line. So I wouldn't agree that you guys need the same stuff that the New York Giants need.
Yeah, I think there are some glaring similarities as far as what we need. You guys obviously quarterback, yeah, but I mean, offensive line for you guys is like linebacker for us. I think that that's the big difference, is that you guys really need offensive line help, and we really need some linebacker help. Obviously, outside of the quarterback situation for Washington is number one this offseason for sure.
See, that's where I would disagree with you and kind of have to agree more with what Kevin is saying there. I think that you guys are going to need upgrades on the offensive line, linebacker core. You could possibly use an upgrade in the secondary as well, and bringing in another running back. Those are the 4 that I think that the New York Giants are parallel with, the 5th being the quarterback position as well.
Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, don't matter who do you bring in as GM, head coach, or quarterback, as long as Mara family manipulate and enforce their own garbage opinions.
Possibly, man. We'll see, man. We're gonna try to find a way to herd O'Mara here and try to get back to the winning culture, man. I think it starts with this main move here, firing Joe Judge. I think that's a very smart move. Anybody who's been watching us for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about firing Joe Judge since they fired Jason Garrett. Okay, and I think they used Jason Garrett as a scapegoat. But granted, Jason Garrett probably should have never been hired for this job. I think that's very important to note here, that, bringing in a guy like Jason Garrett after what you saw happen in Dallas, and we're competing against Dallas in the same division. We've seen Dak Prescott's record against the NFC East in his career. I think it was just 4 losses. Why would you bring in a coach like Jason Garrett to enter the 2020 season? It probably wasn't smart. So for me, man, if you can get a head coach out here and a new GM out here who can make some moves, I think that Mara is just as desperate to win as the fan base is. Nobody wants to be going into your own stadium where you paying all the bills to keep the lights on and get booed by the people inside the stadium. That's not a good look. So for me, I think they're going to find a way here. I think that Mara is just as frustrated as the fan base, and it's by any means necessary at this point to get back to winning.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Stephen Lilly for the £5 super chat. Says, love you guys and great news today, but I'm sorry to say no quarterback this draft. O-line and either edge or try to trade down. Let's go, Giants. Let's go, number 56, GOAT.
Big facts. And I'm cool with trading down, but I'm not okay with waiting until 2023 to try to address the quarterback position. I'll repeat this again. If you wait till 2023, that means you're going into this year with no competition for Daniel Jones unless you spend some money to bring in another stopgap quarterback or somebody who's going to challenge that backup position. So what's going to end up happening in 2023 when we don't sign that 5th-year option come May here, you're going to have to try to franchise tag Daniel Jones, which is going to cost you more money if indeed he does play well in 2022. Or, which is the worst case scenario, you're going to have to draft a quarterback on a bad team in the top 10 and try to start a rookie on a bad team. And to me, that spells doom for the New York Giants for at least 4 or 5 years to come. So if you see that guy in this draft, which I think I see that guy, I'm not nailing coffins, like, hey, Malik Willis. I've looked at Malik Willis tape a lot. I watched it for the 3rd time last night. Went and watched a couple of games. I've looked at Kenny Pickett's tape. They both seem like capable quarterbacks. Honestly, they look like, and like I said, I haven't looked at all of Bryce Young's tape. The size from Bryce Young scares me a little bit. His build scares me a little bit. It's hard to be a successful quarterback at that kind of stature in the NFL. But as of right now, I like Pickett and I like Willis. Those are two quarterbacks that if they're there, I'm not saying go out here and go waste your first-round pick, the first-round pick on a quarterback. But if you start hearing rumblings that these quarterbacks might fall, man, don't let Washington get a quarterback in the second round and we don't. I'm going to be super upset.
Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says all bad owners hire bad GMs. Bad GMs hire a bad head coach. A bad head coach brings in all high-paid garbage players who can't get anything done. So hopefully that changes with this general manager.
Yeah, that's real, man. We definitely hope that changes. You know, the Kenny Galladay signing, I went back and revisited that in my mind today, right? Do you ever remember me talking about Kenny Galladay previous to the Giants being interested or him being a free agent guy?
I mean, maybe a time or two during a parlay as a possible fantasy guy, but
right.
I mean, you know, that's about it.
And see, maybe not even that because I don't think he played we started the parlay in 2020, right? He barely played that year. Now, and this where I felt like I kind of fell for the trick bag a little bit. With him and with Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, who I was a little bit more familiar with, seeing a little bit more of his play. I was like, I don't like Allen Robinson. I don't want him over here in New York.
I was right there with you.
Kenny Galladay, I started looking at the measurements, and something convinced me because he was the number one guy on the market, and I think the desperation in the New York Giants organization, there was really no other wide receivers out there to go get. But never in my entire life had I ever put a guy like Kenny Galladay up there with the top echelon wide receivers in this league, the ABs at the time, the Odell Beckhams, the Amari Coopers when he was with the Raiders. I never spoke on Kenny Galladay. And I think I just fell for that top free agent bag. And the money was a little bit too much, but I was so desperate to try to get some weapons around a quarterback that I was still invested in that I thought it was the right move. Kadarius Toney, I think we were a little bit more neutral on that. We kind of knew that could go one way or the other. I didn't think injury was going to be the reason why he would have a lackluster rookie season. But I thought, maybe you could bring him in, develop him. I never expected Kadarius Toney to be an Odell Beckham. You really can't expect for any rookie wide receiver to come in and do those kind of things like a Justin Jefferson and Odell Beckham just out the gate, year one, just balling out. So I think I got a little bit convinced with the Kenny Galladay thing. But I got to agree with Tudo here, man. A garbage owner is going to bring in that garbage GM. That garbage GM, he's going to bring in that garbage head coach, and those two minds are going to try to figure out how to bring in players, and a lot of times they're going to bring in garbage players. But like I said on Twitter, and a lot of people were giving me the craziest answers to this statement that I put up on Twitter, I thank Dave Gettleman for his tenure here. He tried his best, man. It's not like this guy was out here doing Dan Snyder stuff and taking cheerleaders across to private islands and exposing them to, some senior citizen dudes paying the right bag to be able to see them. He tried his best on the job. It didn't work out. People responding to that, F Gettleman, he could pretty much go to hell, all this. And I'm like, dog, he just tried to do the job and he failed, okay? That happens in life, okay? He didn't do a good job.
It happens all the time in the National Football League,
Reset your Ableton one time. It's just unfortunate that people just they don't understand that these people are humans. They're trying their best to do the job. They're not going out here saying, yo, I want to lose games. I don't think Mara wakes up in the morning and goes, what can I do to dig the Giants franchise in a deeper hole? I don't think he's doing that. So there's a desperation thing that's happening here. I don't remember the last time we've had 5 years in a row this bad. I don't, maybe it's never happened. But in my life, I don't remember this. I talked about this on Twitter too, about the old quarterbacks throughout the mid to late 90s and the 2000s where Giants were having big problems with Kent Grahams and all these people. The records were still pretty decent, right under 500 for most of the time there. And it's just unfortunate that the Giants are having to deal with this and that we're in this situation now where, man, we might be worse than the Browns were before they started their rebuild, man. This is bad because we weren't a franchise that was like the Cleveland Browns, used to losing. We're a franchise that we've been used to winning for a long time here. At least in a decade, we get a Super Bowl. Every decade, we're trying to get a Super Bowl or make a run. And now the Giants have hit a complete low. But, like I said, man, the rocket is starting to go up here with the firing of Joe Judge. And I was saying this on Big Pat. It was actually on Miz's stream where Big Pat was on there. Like, yo, I don't care what the plan is. The plan started with firing Joe Judge. That's where it had to start. And now I think I said this in the opening of the show. Something happened in the last day. Why would you have 2 meetings to fire a guy? If I'm set in and I'm like, yo, Beard, I'm firing you. Why am I going to have a meeting with you, talk about it? What are you convincing me in that meeting? Like, yo, man, I need this job, bro. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me think about it on a day. And then you come back the next day and I'm like, man, I thought about it, bro, and you're fired. Like, it just doesn't make no sense. So, like, I really think that something came to fruition there. And they were like, our guy's available, man. We could get him. We could go get him. And we'll see. Hopefully the Giants, you can't announce a hiring of a head coach until after the season, right? Or can they hire him now?
No, I think you can if it's a college coach, but you can't do it if it's a coach that currently has a position with another team in the playoffs. But if it's outside of the playoffs, then I think you can do that. But if it's a coach who's a coach with a team currently still in the playoffs, you cannot do that.
Yeah, I think that's the next big news that New York Giants are going to be waiting for. Our whole fan base is, who are we hiring at that GM position? Now, if you look at the statement that I said earlier on the show when we did the Giants in Washington intro, John Mara had said this will be a comprehensive search for our next general manager, and he said that general manager will be the person that brings in the people to oversee all aspects of the football operations for the New York Giants, including player personnel and college scouting and coaching. So to me, that kind of, he didn't have to say that, if you know what I'm saying. It says to me that the GM is probably the person that's going to get hired first, and it won't be something like Harbaugh gets hired and will be the person that will influence who the GM is that's getting hired, unless they're trying to cover up some stuff.
And I think that's like the smart way to do it.
Like you said before, when they tell you one thing, it could be the complete opposite of that. So I don't really know where to go with this with the New York Giants. I got to just be patient. I woke up today and really had no real excitement about the GM search for the New York Giants because I knew that Joe Judge was going to be back, or at least I thought that Joe Judge was going to be back at the beginning of the morning. And to hear that he was fired, it really lights a fire up under me now to see where the Giants go with this hiring of the GM.
I think you got about 1 month. I think ideally, as a franchise who has as much draft capital as you guys do, I think it's important for you guys to get things in line within a month. That gives you guys a good ample time with the entire new hierarchy from general manager, whoever's going to be, all of the new assistants, the head coach, and everything like that. You got to have everybody locked, loaded, on the same page, and ready moving into the draft when you have as much draft capital as you guys. Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. It says, very easy to fix all New York Giant problems and dilemmas. All we need is 53 picks on next draft and average head coach who ain't a clown. Don't worry, you don't got 53, but you got pretty good draft capital. So
and that's
you guys will
good
be
point,
okay.
man, that the new coach, the new GM, whole new culture is going into this draft with the greatest alley-oop known to man, okay? You got 10 draft picks, 2 first-rounders. I know the cap space is terrible for the New York Giants. I told people the Giants was in cap hell. Nobody wanted to believe me. The Giants are indeed in cap hell. They're going to have to try to find a way to free up some money. I'm not an accountant. We'll leave that up to the other people who are in that department, okay, to try to figure out how to free up some money. But it is important that the Giants are going into this draft with 10 picks because now you're looking at this is the first go-round of trying to build or try to add to what you've already built as far as the foundation of this roster.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I used to be a very oh my God, the cap guy, right? The last 2 years, after seeing what Tampa Bay has done, I'm sticking by my cap space, smap space saying.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think when there's a will, there's a way. You got to get the right guys in there dealing with these numbers because the way that they're able to maneuver these contracts nowadays, I think that as long as you get the right guys in there dealing with the numbers, you'll be okay. Big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. Says if they can get Willis in the second round, fine, or trade back and get him in the later half of the first round, fine. But he is too much of a project for a top 10 pick. And I think that's something that you kind of are that's how you would rather see it go down as opposed to him being taken with the top 10 pick.
For me, man, it don't matter. It don't matter. As long as you take them first 3 picks and you pick the best players that are available, get me at least an offensive lineman, maybe 2, or you can get an edge rusher and get me a quarterback. I don't think you need to spend all your draft capital in one department. We've been through this before, New York Giants fans, with the linebacking situation. Remember, I think it was the 2020 draft maybe, or maybe it was the 2019 draft, where the Giants spent all that capital on linebackers, and look where we at today. Still need another linebacker, okay? So for me, I see somebody in the chat saying, go get that arm talent. If Malik Willis is that guy, go get him. I don't care about when it happens. I mean, we got Kadarius Toney as our first-round draft pick, from this offseason, and Azeez Ojulari seems to be the better stock in the draft. I don't care where you get him. I don't care.
Interesting. Tuto
and
is
real
back.
quick before you get to Tuto's super chat, real quick, because this go back to Tuto's earlier super chat when you were talking about cap space, smap space, or whatever. You said, right? Let me tell you the moment when I realized the cap space meant nothing. Okay, they were like, the Giants ain't got no cap space. This was entering 2021. We ain't got no cap space. This was before we signed Adoree Jackson, right? And Kid Blue, shout out my homie Kid Blue. I'm sure he spent hours going through whatever sports track, looking at every contract from every player on the New York Giants, right? He made a video. Giants got no cap space. This is it for the rest of the year. A day later, they signed Adoree Jackson for $30 million. I was like, I'm done with the cap space. You know me. I don't count nobody's pockets, man. I don't count nobody's pockets until we give you that $72 million and you are not an asset to any touchdowns on the season. So, Kenny Galladay, I'm counting your pockets, brother. 1,000%.
Brother.
Gave him that Hulk Hogan, who was trending today, talking about he's an anti-vaxxer and whatnot. Hulk Hogan was trending today. But that's besides the point. That was definitely when I realized the cap space don't mean nothing. But this Sunday, the Giants couldn't even dress 53 players because they didn't have no money. So maybe it does mean something. But from now on out, you're not going to see Awthentik count nobody pockets as far as who we need to sign and who we need to bring in. All those mathematicians in the accounting department for the New York Giants, I need you to count it up, add it up, make it work, okay? Make it work, bring in the right players.
Yeah, shout out to the cap space, schmap space department here at Awthentik and the Beard.
Cap space, what made you go with schmap space?
There is no rhyme or reason behind the reasons to my rhymes.
A little bit of rhyme, a little bit. I like it.
No, there's no rhyme or reason to the reasons behind my rhymes. Cap space,
but,
schmap
for
space.
it to happen, it's got to happen so that it can happen. All right.
Big shout out to Tuto, $4.99 super chat. Says our team's been on winning streak this season because we're all type of players who needs the minimum coaching to maximize the playbooks. Shout out to Tuto, Azuri, and the entire Italian.
That would be a trivia question right there. Like if you were like, if this wasn't on the screen, and the trivia question was, Tuto, avid supporter of the New York Giants community and fan base and the YouTubes, what is his last name? I would have been like, yo. I would have not. I would have been like, Tuto. I would have had no idea, and I see it every show, man. We appreciate you pulling up, Tuto. You know what it is.
Big shout out to Tuto. Big shout out to Tuto. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I'm trying my best here. Big shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets for the $1.99 super chat. Says too many holes to address quarterback in this draft. But you guys got a lot of picks though, so you got a little bit of flexibility here as far as how to address the holes.
You got an extra first rounder. No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, and I'm telling you, we should know from experience. With the linebacking core, I don't know if y'all remember that. We neglected a bunch of other positions. Football is the ultimate team sport. You can upgrade that offensive line. It's not going to change who Daniel Jones is.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, those people who are talking about draft 9 offensive linemen, draft 10 offensive linemen, they're only saying that to make a point to draft some offensive linemen. They don't literally mean draft 9 offensive linemen. I mean, that would be
maybe in New York they do mean that.
I mean, those people should not have any say in anything. So, but this guy should. Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says the only way to fix this New York Giants laughing stock team is to bring in an elite GM and an elite head coach to pull up all this mess out of slump. Right players will show up to win. And the last part of that I think is huge. I think, some of it we laughed at and some of it we thought was needed. And when I say we, I mean as a generalization. I don't necessarily mean me and Awthentik, but some of the stuff that was going on obviously in the beginning of the offseason and preseason with the New York Giants and Joe Judge. But, I think you have to have a very well balanced coach when it comes to a player's coach and a stern coach. You got to have, like, I think Bruce Arians kind of rides that line pretty well as somebody who's a stern coach but is a player's coach.
Right.
And I think there's a bunch of guys that are out there like that. When I look at Ron Rivera and when I'm happy with him, I think sometimes that he kind of rides that line really well between a player's coach and a stern coach.
Yep.
And I think that in today's National Football League, this is different than it was in the 90s. It's different than the 80s. It's even different than it was in the early 2000s. So you kind of have to find that. So I do believe that, more so now than ever, and this goes across the board of all sports, and you see it a lot in NBA, where players are recruiting other players, and a lot you see that with social media specifically when it comes. I mean, when Odell Beckham became available, the streets of Twitter were flocking with blue check marks of people trying to recruit Odell Beckham Jr. to come to their team. Same thing with Stephon Gilmore. So I think that you have to have a good coach in place that can recruit. Like, as much as you want to say the GMs are the guys that sign the contracts, or get the contracts done, you have to be a recruiter in the National Football League now. It is not just recruiting in college, but you have to be a recruiter. You have to be able to have a guy that can be like, okay, I want to go play for that guy because I know that guy's going to have my back. I know that guy's going to take care of me. I know that guy's got an offense or a defensive scheme that fits my playability best and is going to allow me to succeed the most as a professional athlete. So
Facts.
I think that it's huge to have a head coach in place that is like that. Yep, Mike Tomlin, I mean, is another great guy. You saw Mike Tomlin, who has had to deal with the dancing antics of all this stuff, right? Over and over and over again. To see him go up there and get his dance on with his guys, stuff like that, you need that. And I never saw it with Joe Judge in his entire tenure here. It just never felt like there was that connection between him and the players. So I think that's going to be very important for the Giants moving forward, especially considering all the amount of draft picks that they have. They're going to need a guy that's going to be able to handle that transition between young players and coming from college into the National Football League, as well as recruiting any sort of free agents that you're able to get after you eliminate some of these contracts and during the off season. So a big shout out to Chudo for the $4.99 super chat.
Now look, before we address more of these super chats, I want to, I don't want to just go super chat. Let's talk to some more people in the chat as well too, because I'm seeing a lot of opinions. This is a very emotional day for the New York Giants, and I want to talk to the people in the chat here, especially No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, and E Suds, who were talking about Daniel Jones not being the problem. Okay, and this one I want to pull this one up real quick. Seriously, cleaning house. If Jones plays and wins 5 to 6 games next year, gonna blame it on him then? ? And I kind of want to tie that with No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, saying that Jones isn't the problem. Now, look, this is my thought about quarterback position, okay? When you are accustomed to a losing culture, to me, that forces the fans to say things like that, right? Where it's like, he's not the reason. And when you see someone scrutinize the quarterback, you think that person is saying that they're blaming the losses on the quarterback. When in reality, and I'm going to speak for myself here on this one, okay? When we say that the quarterback is struggling or he's average, as I've been saying all year long, that just means that he's not going to elevate the team. By no means am I blaming Daniel Jones, right, for the Giants' problems. The Giants' problems go so much deeper than a Daniel Jones. But this is the thing about Daniel Jones. It's the same thing that people are going to start to say in Miami with Tua if things don't drastically change. They're not going to say, oh, we're losing games because of Tua, but they're saying we need to elevate or upgrade the quarterback position because we're not winning games because of that guy. When you see Joe Burrow out there making these plays, when you see Justin Herbert against the Raiders, he's single-handedly bringing his team back into the game. Multiple times, multiple fourth downs, multiple conversions. You talking 10 seconds left in the game. That kid got ice running through his veins in regulation, and he makes a dart throw. Mike Williams is not even open. Are you familiar with that route that he ran? Do you got it in your head vividly? He's not even open. He threw him open. By the time Mike Williams turns around, the defenders don't even know the ball is zinging past their head. That is the kind of quarterback that I want to bring in over here. I think that when you go to the lowest scale of those kind of quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is a guy who's knocking on that door. Daniel Jones is not a guy that's knocking on that door as a winner right now. Now, can I say, hey, maybe we give him one more year to try to prove himself and we put the weapons around him and make things perfect? You could say that, right? But at the end of the day, I got to use my eyes. When I look at this 2021 season with Daniel Jones, I don't even have a moment in my mind that goes, man, on that play, he had the ice running through his veins. What are we going to say? The reception? The 8-yard catch that he made one-handed? What play stands out to you? What situation stands out to make you go, this guy elevates the guys around him? Even when we saw Jake Fromm come in and run the 2-minute drill in his debut as a New York Giant, it looked more comfortable than Daniel Jones. When I see Jake Fromm go do the pressers after the game, after playing like straight up hot, steaming garbage, he looked more confident than Daniel Jones does at the podium. He's not sitting there doing like this, like, he confident in what he's saying. I got to play better. I got to do better. I got to go out here and try to execute. Could you imagine being a quarterback that's getting pressed out at the press conference after your coach called in 2 quarterback sneaks back-to-back? Jake Fromm let that brush right off his shoulders like, look, that's above me. It's above my pay grade. They call the plays. I'm going to go out there and try to make 11 men execute that play. He didn't say I got to go out there and I got to execute the play. He literally put an emphasis on how he has to get into the huddle and get 11 players, including himself, all on the right page. Daniel Jones ain't showing you no elevation. He's showing you average. He's not even showing you Ryan Tannehill. That's why I use my Twitter platform to highlight a certain drive from Ryan Tannehill where when he walked in the huddle, the demeanor, man. Players respond to language, not just verbally, but body language. If I go out there and I'm watching Justin Herbert go out here countless time after time after time after time, make plays on the strength of his skill set, his mind, what's between his ears and the way he plays, what do I look like trying to put up a lackluster performance as another guy in that huddle with him? Accountability, as my man Mike Swan always says. Happy birthday to my brother Mike Swan, too. His birthday is today. But it's about accountability. It's not about blame. And I think when you have a losing culture, it trickles out into the fan base. So now the fan base goes, who are we blaming? We're blaming the New York Giants for all the losses that happened this year. 5 to 6 wins for Daniel Jones next year is not going to change my opinion on him, not one bit. Daniel Jones can go out there and put up those same exact numbers that he put up as a rookie or better. He could put up 30 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. I would still be like, that is the same quarterback that we have been seeing for 3 seasons. It's just like what I was talking about. Shout out to Tim from Online Big Blue, who I do see in the chat. I heard him say on his show today about Leonard Williams. You can't take an outlier season and go, oh, we're going to define that guy by that, because then what's going to end up happening is you're going to make another mistake, and you're going to have to pay Daniel Jones top dollar at the quarterback position all off the strength of 1 year. And if you're a Giants fan who thinks that you would not go and renege that $20 million plus that we gave Leonard Williams, you out your mind. We cannot continuously keep making the same exact mistakes. And it was the 2020 draft where the Giants invested a lot of draft capital into the linebacker position. Granted, it wasn't first-round capital, and we know those first-round picks did hit with Xavier McKinney and Andrew Thomas. But to go out there and get guys like Matt Pert, who looks like he's a bust in the 3rd round. You got Shane Lemieux in the 5th round. You got Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin, and Chris Williamson, who are no longer even going to be a part of this future as far as the New York Giants go. Don't go out here triple dipping because you have one glaring concern being the offensive line. Games get won at the quarterback position in the NFL. It's the bottom line. It's the bottom line.
So listen to this then. Let's say Daniel Jones goes out there next year, right? Say he throws 35 touchdowns, 10 picks. You guys go to the playoffs. And we'll just leave the hypothetical at that. I'm not to take it any further as far as what happens after that. I mean, do you not offer him a contract? I mean, you might not have to even offer him. You tag him.
You tag him because there's no way you're going to give him the 5th-year option by May. He has not played well enough to deserve a 5th-year option here.
No. So
bro, we saw Marcus Mariota. Tennessee let that dude just straight walk. Marcus Mariota was winning games, and they had nothing over there. That dude was getting killed. He was getting sacked. He was running for his life. He was running option, wildcat. They trying to do the same stuff that you see them trying to do with Daniel Jones here in New York. You can't keep falling for that same trick bag. And what did we do with Daniel Jones these first 3 seasons? Oh, we just signed some backup quarterbacks that you know are not going to challenge him for the starting position in Colt McCoy. And you got Giants fans calling for Colt McCoy back because Mike Glennon was so bad. You got to bring in a quarterback who's going to challenge that kid.
Okay, now how much of all of this goes to just the culture of the organization that the New York Giants have been since Daniel Jones has been a quarterback? Because I mean, obviously some of that has to go into play. You know, like obviously maybe I'm not saying that to make an excuse for Daniel Jones. Obviously, I'm speaking on a devil's advocate basis here right now. But like if I'm the starting quarterback and I show up and I know that it's a complete disaster on the coaching staff every single day. The offensive line is shot. Like, I'm worried for my livelihood as a quarterback in the National Football League because every time I drop back, I don't know what the heck's gonna happen. I don't know who's gonna miss their block on with this play. You know, like so like some of that has to have some sort of weight on Daniel Jones mentally. Now, who's to say that now this is not an opportunity for this organization to turn things around completely and bring in the right personnel from the top all the way down to the bottom that maybe Daniel Jones has been missing. And now Daniel Jones is a completely different quarterback, and not just statistically touchdowns and interceptions, but the demeanor that you speak of.
Show me
the ability
the
to lead
quarterback
and stuff
that's
like that.
happened to, and I'll start to believe it. Show me the quarterback that looks shell-shocked like this, that got the second chance and totally was just a complete baller. And this is the other thing I'll say to that too, Beard. When you look at a football team, right, who do you think of all 22 positions, who should be the most mentally strong on the field?
I mean, the easy answer is the quarterback.
Give me the difficult answer if there's another one.
I mean, it depends on who your roster is. I mean, if you have a guy that's a TJ Watt on the defensive side of the ball, right? I mean, like you know, like that's a guy that might be the vocal leader of your team. You know, because
very different than what I'm asking though. I'm talking about mental toughness, where you're talking about this kid's shell-shocked because of the way that the play might be around him, hypothetically, right? What other position should be mentally stronger than your quarterback? You're talking a defensive end. A defensive end can go out there and get pancaked 4 plays in a row and then get a sack, and the fan base will praise him.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be mentally strong for that? At the quarterback position, you got to be mentally strong so that when you get sacked, you get back up. You hold players accountable. When you throw an interception, you shake that off and go down there and throw touchdowns, bro. We're seeing quarterbacks in this league make hella plays, bro, with average offensive line. Joe Burrow been sacked 54 times on the season. Yeah, he got better offensive talent as far as the wide receiver goes and the running back goes. But this dude's not mentally shocked by being sacked 54 times on the season. He's getting back out there and getting it done. I don't want a guy at the quarterback position who his mental becomes strained because of the things that are happening around him. I want him to be resilient until the day he's fired. You got backups that can do this, bro. You literally got backups that can do this. The best of the best quarterbacks go out there and they don't allow those things to shell shock them. They elevate the players around them and instill confidence in the players around them. We haven't even, you know how you could read body language on the field? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, Odell Beckham was the most clearest body language on the field, right? Like, the ball don't get thrown to him. He's like, right? He's like that, right? Daniel Jones is just on the field looking like Eli Manning, and Eli Manning is the one exception to the rule of a guy who literally was like, no emotion. Does that mean that we got to go out here and be like, let's go get us a quarterback who has no emotion, that looks like he has no mental stamina and can be easily broken in a second? You got to look at the quarterback position like, yo, find me the quarterback, right, who's like, his team is really, really good, and he's not the best player on the team. Find me that team in the league, right, that like they're at the top of the league, top 10 football team in the league, but they don't got a good quarterback on the roster. You see Derek Carr? You see Derek Carr out there, man? He's looking at Herbert going down the field every damn play, bro. Like, this dude's scoring every play. You think he's sitting on the sidelines like, man, I don't know if I can get it done, man. Like what, bro? Like yo,
No,
all
no.
these teams in the playoffs. Let me look at these teams in
They
the playoffs.
all have
one
they
more
all have
time, right?
quarterbacks. They all have
Pittsburgh
quarterbacks.
got a quarterback. He an old one running around, but you don't got to question the mental toughness of a Ben Roethlisberger, right?
You got to question the ability to play the position a little bit.
I don't know. I think that might be what the media want people to think. When you look at them numbers and the weapons that he's had over the last couple of years, it hasn't been great. He's doing this all with Najee Harris. That's it.
I mean, Deontay Johnson is a good wide receiver.
That boy be dropping everything, though.
Okay, but he is a good wide receiver. He's not Jalen Reagor. He can get you 2 touchdowns and 150 yards.
He's not Jalen Reagor. I will give you that. But the resilience of that team, are you thinking Deontay Johnson? I'm thinking Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, the ability-wise, Ben Roethlisberger is not what he used to be.
Of course not, but he's still above a guy like a Daniel Jones, even at this point in his career. That's what's crazy. And he's probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the whole playoffs right now. Jimmy Garoppolo just showed you why they belonged in the playoffs. He's like, oh, y'all been sleeping on me. Y'all still thinking about that overthrow in the Super Bowl? Hold my beer. I'm about to go get this win. Easy, right? The Patriots got a rookie in the playoffs right now. And, yeah, that's a perfect system to have him there. You got the best coach in NFL history, but then you got the Bills, the Bengals, the Raiders, the Chiefs, all led by the quarterback, bro. Go to the NFC. You got Tampa Bay. You got the Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, all led by the quarterback, bro. Teams that don't got a good quarterback is sitting at home right now. Them Chicago
100%.
Bears, and some teams with a pretty good quarterback sitting at home too right now, like the Minnesota Vikings, right? And like your boy Justin Herbert, he's trying everything to get his team in the playoffs and can't get his team in the playoffs. But this league is predicated around the quarterback.
100%.
That's just what it is. So for me, it's like, I know people want to be like, you know, Daniel Jones ain't the problem. Daniel Jones ain't the problem. But he damn sure ain't the solution.
I think that's the best way to put it right there. Right? I don't think that anybody could argue otherwise than that phrase right there that you just said. There's no way that you could argue otherwise.
You can't, dog. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And I expect the guy, and the reason why I brought up the highlights and all that stuff about the beginning of the year and whatnot, and like, you know, think about the highlight from this season from Daniel Jones in 11 games, I believe it was.
It's a great point. There is none. There's
There
no
ain't
defining
one.
moment.
You look at the Saints game, he threw a wheel route to Saquon Barkley, and Barkley did the rest.
Yeah.
He had a good game. I'll give him that. I think it was, what was it, like 400 yards? I think it might have been a 400-yard game against the Saints. He had a good game, and he finished that game good. But are we going to hang our hats on one good game in 11? We can't do that. You can't do
listen,
that.
I'm right there with you, bro, as far as my quarterback situation, too. You know, like, I mean, there's some good games. At least he's had some moments. But
Taylor Heinicke's he's had those moments where you're like, damn, he just won us the game.
And
like
then
it came down to a play where it was like, yo, bro, you got to go make that play. And he made the play. And you look at Taylor Heinicke's physical skill set, and you're like, he don't got half the skill set Daniel Jones has, but it's between them ears, bro.
Yeah. It's like we could morph the two together.
Oh, we'd have a great quarterback. You take Taylor Heinicke's mind and his feet, right? And then you give him Daniel Jones' arm and height. God damn, we got ourselves a fantastic quarterback, bro. But come on, you can't keep fooling me with this. He's not the problem thing. That's like saying Saquon Barkley's not the problem. Let us get a quarterback in here and Saquon Barkley's still running 2.4 yards per carry. Then get him out of here, man. He's not the problem, okay, but he's not the solution at the running back position either. Right? No. So we can't just keep going, oh, man, we hope Daniel Jones, maybe you get the right players around him, man. We're not saying that about Burrow. Burrow blew his knee out last season. People weren't like, man, if we get the right players around that guy. People were like, you remember Joe Burrow's statistics before he went out?
Of course I do.
He was balling with nothing over there. New York Giants got to see it firsthand when we played the Bengals last season when they had Brandon Allen at quarterback. They don't got that. Their roster ain't that capable. Yeah, they sitting in the playoffs right now.
And I'll tell you what else is crazy is I remember one of the first episodes this year of Awthentik and the Beard. I talked about how excited I was to see some of these duo quarterback and players that they went to school with on the same team. Jalen Waddle, Tua, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. And people were giving the Bengals so much crap because they're like, your quarterback just nearly got his knee blown out, and you guys have an opportunity to
And you're gonna
draft
go
Penny
draft a
Sewell.
wide
And what are
receiver.
you going to go draft a wide receiver? You're damn right we are. You
that-
see what we are doing now?
That is what
This
it
a
is about
different
people
league.
in hindsight. When they go, oh, it failed like that because you didn't get the offensive lineman, right? They'll go, that's why. But why aren't we?
Yeah.
We're not talking about that with the Cincinnati Bengals. Nobody's going, man, they passed up and got Jamar Chase because he's balling out here. He's
Exactly.
balling. And the proof is in the play on the field. That's just what it is. Nobody's going to care about an offensive lineman when you got 3 and 4 players on a roster that have over 1,000 yards, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen with the New York Giants when we brought in the weapons. I'm like, you know what? It should take some pressure off the offensive line. Daniel Jones will still probably get sacked a lot, but we'll be able to put up enough offense to win games.
Oh, man, what about us? Washington, we're only a quarterback away. Let's go. You know, we got Samuel coming in now too, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that's why when last episode when you asked me, or when we were doing a live, you asked me, you know, or I can't remember if that was the live or Thursday, but anyways, when we talked about what I learned the most, and that was one of the things I learned the most is that you can't look at what has happened on the paper in the offseason. You have to wait and see how those additions gel. And because everything can look great on paper, but you just don't know until all those pieces are on the playing board at the same time, ready to rock and roll.
Big facts.
And it's just crazy. So like, I think this offseason, I'm going to be more focused on, you know, not necessarily being a Debbie Downer, but, you know, like not getting overly excited until I see how the pieces are playing out.
Those
moves
and looking at those rosters is, I think, why we came to the conclusion of why we thought Washington and New York was going to be at the top of the division. And we were totally wrong on that. Even though I didn't have Washington up there, I had Dallas and New York up there with Washington, I think around 6-7 wins. Did I have y'all at 7 wins?
I think you might have hit us right on the money.
Hit y'all right on the button there, yeah. But I do feel you on that. You know, like you get so invested in these picks, and then you think, then you start looking at the stats from what they did last year. You're like, Curtis Samuel, man, 100 catches. We bring that over here. Taylor Heineke could totally use that.
Then you forget that it's Taylor Heineke throwing Curtis Samuel the ball now.
Yeah,
like,
and you know what y'all did too? Y'all neglected the groin injury. Why? You got it. Same thing we did with Kenny Galladay. Why would the Detroit Lions not franchise tag Kenny Galladay? Why did the Carolina Panthers allow Curtis Samuel to just go? Why?
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on with that. And we refuse to look at that in the offseason, and we just living off hope. But I know now, as far as New York Giants go, we've been so low. I'm not relying on no more hope, no more. You literally got to go out there and win me 9 games before I start saying, hey, we could go this way. We could go here. When we do our predictions next season, I'm predicting 3-4 wins. I'm keeping it low because, look, you look a lot better when you wrong like that. But when you wrong like how I'm wrong this season, I'm like, yeah, Giants should win 9 games. I'm not predicting the quarterback to get hurt for the last 6 games, and we end up winning 4 games. You look like a damn idiot. You know, and it goes to show you that really nobody knows what's really good for this team until it happens. And then in hindsight, you're going to say, I told y'all we should have did this.
I told you so.
That's how it goes, man. You know, Micah Parsons is another one. I always commend my homie Miz, because Miz was one who was in the offseason like, yo, the Giants need to get Parsons. They need to get Parsons, right? And Parsons looks fantastic with the Dallas Cowboys. But who's to say that would have happened with the New York Giants? We're the Giants now. We're a bad franchise here. We're talking about 5 years of straight garbaggio.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Big shout out to Tudo for $4.99 super chat. Says, everyone might think all my thoughts are crazy, but I'm speaking of experience and seen it all everywhere and been there for a while.
Hey, it's only crazy until it's right. And then when it's right, they go, because people look, I'm telling you, people was looking at Jalen Hurts like, why the hell are the Philadelphia Eagles drafting a quarterback? And now look at them. Look at the position they're in right now. People was probably looking at them like, why the hell are they trading for Gardner Minshew?
Yeah.
They got a great backup. They got a solid starter moving forward for and the crazy part about it is they're both young. So you could have those guys for 3-4 years at least if you want to. And then if Gardner Minshew builds some stock, then you could trade them away. But for me, man, I'm going to keep hammering that point. There's no one on YouTube that has this opinion either. I've been looking around. I've been following people. No one on Twitter, on YouTube has been saying, yo, let me take that back. My man Tim from Online Big Blue is one. He has been saying, go get Malik Willis. He's been saying it for a year now. For me, go get a quarterback. I don't care if it's not Malik Willis. I think he could be a great prospect, but go get the quarterback in this draft if he's out there. Don't let me see somebody in the NFC East like the Washington Redskins go out there and pull a quarterback, and then I got to watch him beat us up for the next couple of years. I don't want that.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate one more time then, right?
Yeah.
How would you feel if you don't draft any quarterback? What happens if the new general manager and the new scouting department and the new head coach come in and don't feel like that guy is one of these quarterbacks and they just don't draft a quarterback this year? Or maybe they draft a quarterback, like how a lot of teams do, like in your 5th, 6th, 7th round, something like that. How do you feel at that point then?
At that point, I'm feeling like, you got to make a free agent move or make a trade to bring in the right QB. You can't dismiss the Deshaun Watson signing or trade, and you can't dismiss the Russell Wilson trade. I know Pete Carroll in Seattle came out today and said that Russell Wilson is a part of the future and all this, but for me, man, it's about getting better. And most teams usually get better from the quarterback position. Look at the Chargers. When they had Anthony Lynn over there, they were straight struggling with him as a coach. They bring in Herbert. It completely changed the trajectory of that franchise. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals. The same exact thing happened. Everybody was down on Philadelphia entering this season thinking they was going to be straight garbage, but in their locker room and in their organization, they said, man, we found our guy. They committed to him, built a game plan around him. And sometimes when their coach can be a little bit boneheaded and try to throw the ball a little bit too much too. But he's starting to realize you got to rely on that running game when it comes to the quarterback position over there in Philadelphia. Completely changes that. I won't even say changes that franchise around. Keeps them on the trajectory that they were going when they had Carson Wentz. These teams are consistently doing that. The only team I feel like who had a little bit of success this season by not truly addressing a quarterback in the draft was the Colts. But look where they at. Their quarterback couldn't make the plays at the end of the season, and they're not. How do you got a guy like Taylor running the ball the way he is, and y'all not in the playoffs? Quarterback maybe?
Yeah, their offensive line let them down dramatically in that game too, obviously. But Carson Wentz did not have one of his shining moments. I don't understand why they just didn't. I mean, you know me, run the damn ball.
Run the damn ball. Run the damn ball.
Big shout out to Tudo for the $4.99 super chat. Says more on Mara and should take all high-paid garbage players to flea market and trade them all for nickel and dimes to build a better culture in the locker room.
Yo, shout out my man Tudo, dog. Shout out my guy Tudo one time, man. There's a couple you can catch up. On it.
I mean, there's
my guy right there, man.
Yeah,
shout out Lucas.
Shout out to Lucas. And I mean, this is the other thing too, man. 6 picks in the first 100. I mean, that's awesome. I would love to be going into that sort of situation. Independent outsider, 100% totally agree with you on this statement.
Yeah.
Washington ruined RG3.
He ruined himself a little bit too. He was involved.
That was going to be my next line. He definitely didn't help his case in a lot of that situations for sure. Big shout out to James Williams.
My man, what's up, James?
Building. Appreciate you stopping by. The track coach is done. That's a good one. That's a good one.
James
and that's the other thing too, Suds. There's definitely we got a lot of time for things to evolve, and I think in my experience as a Washington football team fan and somebody who has been through complete disaster and clean house situations that took longer than it actually should have taken, a la Bruce Allen and Jay Gruden. I will say that this next month is going to be one of the most important months as a fan. And the thing is I think it's just important to kind of, have a little bit of patience, cross your fingers, cross your toes, and put your hands together. And that's all you can really do. That's all you can really do because you don't really know what's going to happen in this next month.
I want to stay on E-Suds here real quick. I got another one from E-Suds I want to bring up. Shout out E-Suds, man. Big supporter of the channel. He says, I do have to say, as much as I agree with you on Jones, you also can't say he doesn't have it in the tough moments because he has never had a chance yet. Now, look, I played the quarterback position, okay? And I still play football here and there. There's always moments in every game where this is where we got to put them away, okay? The Beard played with me on a flag football team, co-ed football team, and so did Monique. We up 7 at the half. The way our league was set up, you got very limited chances on offense per half. You might have got like 3 or 4 possessions per half. It was very short halves, right? We'd go up maybe 7-0 at the half, get the ball back coming out the half. I'm like, yo, this is our moment right here, Beard. Let's get this touchdown. We get this to 2 scores. We're going to put this game away. I can think of mad moments like that this season with Daniel Jones. The Raiders game being one of them. And granted, we still won that game because of Jason Garrett's game plan relying on the run. There was plenty of moments there. Up by 1 late in that game. I always talked about this. You could have scored a touchdown in that third quarter. Late in the third quarter, you could have even gone for 2 points after you scored a touchdown to push it to a 9-point game. Then we kicked the field goal after being up by 1. We're up by 4 points. You score a touchdown on that drive, those are the moments I'm talking about. I'm not talking about one of these moments like Justin Herbert had last, what was that, on a Sunday night or Monday night? Sunday night, yeah. I'm not talking about one of those moments where it's 10 seconds left on the clock and you got to make the play. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those windows of opportunity to put teams away early. Washington, second half. You're up in that game. Yeah, Daniel Jones had a fantastic game against Washington, but we were there at that game. Plenty of drives in the second half to put the game away. You don't put the game away. I'll give you another one in that game. 3rd down, 3rd and 7. We're on the Washington, 10-yard line. After Darius Slayton dropped that bomb or whatever, we had gotten the ball back. We're on the Washington, 10 or 15-yard line. 3rd and 7. All you got to do is lead your man, Sterling Shepard, just a little bit. He's going to get the first down to extend that drive or get into the end zone. What happens? You miss the throw. You hit him on the back shoulder, and we don't get the first down. Plenty of moments like this with Daniel Jones to put games away where he doesn't put the games away. And one more thing for no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. He talked about Eli had that demeanor the whole time. One of the quotes I keep in my bag is, an exception to the rule will never defeat the rule. Tell me them other quarterbacks that do that. Most quarterbacks go out there and go, hey, we putting the women and children to bed and we about to go hunting for dinner right now. Yeah. And you see them do it time after time. Eli Manning is a one-on-one, bro. There will never be another Eli Manning. Never. There'll never be another Eli Manning like that that's going to take his team to 2 Super Bowls, clutch, the most clutch quarterback in playoff history after being, we'll call him a little bit above average throughout the regular season, doing just enough to get his team into the playoffs. There'll never be another guy like that. And does Daniel Jones strike you as tough as Eli Manning? Hell no. Hell no. He'd be trying to be tough, but people confuse, certain instances for toughness, right? And one of them being when Daniel Jones ran face first into the Dallas Cowboys defense and got concussed. Some people will look at that and go, oh, that's tough. That's tough. No, that's stupid. If you've ever put on a helmet, what do you do when you bail out when you play football, Tim? You just go, ugh, right? When you ain't got no other option, right? You just go, you just put your head down, hope you don't get killed, and that's what Daniel Jones does, and people mistake that for toughness. That's not toughness or trying to play through an injury. Every player in the NFL should be expected. If you could go and you banged up, you should be out there playing.
You hurt or you injured?
Exactly. Maybe y'all are a little too young to have seen the program. Omar Epps was asked that question in that movie. Are you hurt or are you injured? And Omar Epps was like, he's on the field. Let me add. He was on the field, down. Coach came on and walked up to him to the field like, so, what's his name in that movie? I forget his name in that movie. But he's like, Omar, are you hurt or are you injured? And Omar looked up at him on the ground like, what you mean? He's like, well, if you hurt, you going to get back in the game and finish out this game. If you're injured, we're going to have to get the medical staff to come drag you off the field and take you back to the locker room. It's that simple, bro. We're not talking about we're not at someone's son's football game in Pee Wee. Like, he's a tough kid. He got back out there after, he skimmed his elbow and we put a Band-Aid on. He's a tough kid. Dog, this is the best of the best, bro. It's the best of the best. They should be the toughest, they should have the most mental strength, most mental stamina, the best skill set, arm strength, speed, pocket. We're talking about the best of the best, bro. We're not talking about kids out here running around like, oh, Timmy's tough. He went back in the game. Nah, man. I expect that. If my quarterback can play, bro, we saw Brian Leftwich finish out a game with a broken leg with his offensive linemen, all of them picking him up to drop him in front of the center before he said hike. Come on, dog. We're not toughness, effort. I don't ever question that stuff because this is the highest level of football, bro. It's the highest level of football. So Daniel Jones, when I see him out there, I've seen 3 seasons of it. He ain't got it. He ain't got it.
You know who does have it, though?
Aaron Rodgers.
Tuto! Since I've become the captain of RD about 4 months ago, the culture of our locker rooms changed 180 degrees. Now we're all a band of brothers on and off the field with the common goal to win every game.
Tuto, congratulations on becoming the captain 4 months ago. That's major, my G. Big shout out to the homie Tuto one time. And that's just facts, man. That's just facts. That's just what it is, man. You got to get the group of guys that are going to bond together and be able to get this team into the winning, type of environment that we're all looking for here. Nobody wants to be a loser, man. Nobody want to sit around with a bunch of people losing games. That's not fun. Me and the Beard, we did that on a team, and we lost about 20 straight games. We brought in all kind of different talent and different people and all kind of stuff, trying to patchwork, trying to make it work, and it wouldn't work. I'm going to tell you what fixed it. We ended up winning the championship in that league. And what fixed it? We brought in another quarterback. Fixed everything.
Big shout out to Stan Auber, who says, Awthentik, you're right. It was just reported that the Giants GM candidates asked about the status of Joe Judge before accepting a request to be interviewed. Shout out to Mara for doing it right for once.
Hey, you can't keep doing stuff the wrong way. And like I said before, there's no way that Mara wants to see this team in the losing column while he's the owner here. There's just no way. And a lot of people wanted to blame Mara, throughout this whole entire season, okay? I'm not one of those people sitting up here blaming the owner. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to sit here and blame the owner. You hire, I use this example. You see the guy on Yelp has 3 stars out of 5. You're like, it's not that great, but my homie, the Beard, recommended him to me. It should be a good job. He comes to do the job. He starts the job, and he starts failing, and the job looks terrible. We can't blame me for the lack of research, man. I'm not the guy doing the gutters. I hired this person to come out here and fix my gutters. He's not fixing the gutters, all right? We ain't blaming me. I'm not the person who deserves my money to be taken. Somebody deserves to pay me my money back. And, yeah, your boy Mara hired Dave Gettleman, and it didn't work out. And like I said, I felt like Dave Gettleman was not, not even one of the – he's a reason why we were losing games, obviously. But when he was making these moves, they didn't look as bad as they appear to look now when the team is sitting at 4-13. So I got to look at the culture. I got to look at the coordinator. I got to – you know how we had that list of the problems with the New York Giants, and I had Jason Garrett down near the bottom of that 5 or whatever. I bumped him back up. He's more responsible for this than Dave Gettleman is. Dave Gettleman's like, here's the talent, man. Here go the recipe. Here goes the ingredients, man. Make it work. And these fools couldn't make it work. So for me, it's like, yeah, Dave Gettleman definitely needed to be fired. But most of this goes on Joe Judge and the coaching staff that was hired along with him.
Mitch Trubisky's name's going to be out there a lot this offseason for sure. He's definitely somebody
I don't want to bring
in
Mitch,
people,
man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as much as I don't want to go from Taylor Heineke to Mitch Trubisky, just like you don't want to go from Daniel Jones to Mitch Trubisky. I'm not necessarily saying that Mitch Trubisky would come in and win the starting job, but I mean it's a possibility. And that's nothing. That's nothing against Mitch Trubisky, but it's just like we want our playoff quarterback. I think that's what I'm just listen. I think that's what we should start doing.
Stan, hey man, Stan, that's my guy. Stan is my guy. That's my guy right there. Look at this right here, because I overlooked this. Mind you, Awthentik, the 49ers still took a quarterback because they believe he has better talent than Jimmy G. Go get the damn quarterback, man. Go get him, man. Go get him, bro.
Oh, man, I could have used this answer, James. It's a good one. The kicker has to be mentally
The kicker does have – hey, and you know what? The kicker did come through my mind, right? But he's only on the field a couple times in a game.
For sure. But listen, I think now, because of all this talk that we've had today, right, and how much I hate the word franchise quarterback, I think we should just coin the phrase playoff quarterback. Your quarterback is either going to be the quarterback that is the guy that takes you to the playoffs, the playoff quarterback, like all these playoff teams have a quarterback, or you're going to be a quarterback who's at home.
I'm going to still stick on you either got a franchise quarterback.
I love that one too, yeah.
Or you got a hell of a running game. I can't just because a lot of these quarterbacks that people draft in the top 10 are expected to be the franchise quarterback fail, I can't get rid of that term. Because guys like Aaron Rodgers, what do we call him?
No, he's a franchise quarterback.
Russell Wilson, he's a franchise quarterback.
Yes.
He had 8
fringe.
winning seasons. You better never not think that long on Russell Wilson. Not
Dude,
ever.
but I mean, right now, he's on the fringe.
He's old. He's a franchise quarterback. Once you did it, bro. It's like, saying you're a franchise quarterback is saying like you're a mountain climber. When you climb that mountain, bro. Yeah.
you're a mountain climber for forever now.
You are a mountain climber, bro. I don't care until you could be 78 years old, can't move a limb. My man, the beard, he's
So
a
how
mountain
many
climber.
times, at what point do you get that anointment?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. If you go to the Super Bowl.
You win the Super Bowl.
Win the
franchise
Super Bowl.
Quarterback.
Win
Yes.
the Super Bowl. All right.
Win it.
I
you're
like
a franchise
that.
quarterback.
Not mad
Hey,
at that.
but
I
now
will
look,
accept that.
I know people in the chat gonna want to jump on that right there, right? There's always an exception to the rule. There's always a Nick Foles. There's always a Trent Dilfer, right?
Yeah.
I'm hanging my hat on you either got a franchise quarterback or you got a hell of a running game.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
And
Big
franchise
shout out.
quarterbacks don't grow on trees, man.
Nope. They don't. They sure don't. Listen, I flipped out on Twitter the other day. I said, man, if these people don't stop talking about these damn franchise quarterbacks like they going to McDonald's drive-thru and ordering a number one with a side of a franchise quarterback, because it's just not how it works, man.
It's my hands around Kevin the PRF's neck. He said Dilfer has entered the chat.
Big shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets for the $1.99 super chat. There's so many people said the same about
I addressed
Eli's
that one too.
demeanor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Appreciate the super chat. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets for sure, man.
Alex Smith wasn't the problem in Kansas City. Jimmy G isn't the problem in San Francisco, and they still drafted for upside. Just, that's another great situation.
My man Stan out here, just dropping gems. Shout out my man Stan Albert one time. Always sending me those good nuggets on Twitter, bro. Keep sending me them nuggets, man. I'm a big fan of McDonald's, okay?
Big shout out to Stephen Lilly for the £5 super chat. Says Jones isn't shell shocked because of sacks. He is a tough SOB. He is messed up because we have had poor coaches and players dropping easy catches. But you have to put some of it on Daniel Jones too. Like it's.
But you know what I think
people
happened in trying to fix something? They broke something else.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's no way that Daniel Jones could continue in this league with the Burger King hands and the fumbles. There's no way. So Garrett comes in and goes, I have to correct that. We know Garrett probably have no say on the quarterback position in New York. He comes over there as offensive coordinator like, man, work with what you got. He looking at it like, yo, this ain't the guy, but I'm going to try to fix it. In trying to fix that, they kind of ruined what was good about Daniel Jones. But even what was good with Daniel Jones in 2019, I'm not looking at that like, yo, this is the guy I need to be moving forward, So I think that he's probably not shell-shocked. He probably just isn't capable.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, you can't. I think people are so set on having the blame fall on one person, right? Like
that's how it be in a losing culture. That's how it be.
Yeah,
it's that guy's fault. We replace him, we probably won't lose as much, or it's that unit's fault.
And then you do that, and then next thing you know, you find out that, oh man, I guess it wasn't the faucet wasn't leaking just because of this part of the pipe. I got to go into this part of the pipe, and that's also causing the leak. There's so much that goes into it. So yeah, there is a little bit, obviously, like I had pointed out earlier, that has been a part of Daniel Jones' faults, but at the same time, you have to take into consideration the things that Awthentik brought up about Daniel Jones, and that is on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the one taking the snap. Daniel Jones is the one throwing the ball. The coaching staff is not throwing the ball. The coaching staff is not taking the snap. The coaching staff isn't in. This isn't like, I hate to go back to Pee Wee, but this isn't Pee Wee where the coach is standing in the huddle telling you guys what to do. That's the quarterback's job, to get everybody riled up in the huddle.
This is real deal, highest level of NFL football. That's what it is. Your quarterback has to be an extension of your coach and your offensive coordinator. He has to be the guy getting everybody right on the field. And to me, when you bring in a guy like Galladay, right? He saw success in Detroit with David Blau or whatever and Matthew Stafford. So a guy's not going to just fall off the cliff with his play like that. It's not going to be like some immediate cliff he just falls off of. Kenny Galladay, you see the catch he made? He only had 3 catches in this game on Sunday, but you see the one catch? all hands, bro, across the middle, being tackled as he's making a catch. This guy can still make plays. But there's something wrong with the chemistry between the quarterback and the receiver. Kenny Galladay has shown you that he can make this happen with multiple quarterbacks. I forget who there was another backup quarterback in Detroit with Kenny Galladay as well. And he saw big success. When he led the league in touchdowns, it was with 2 backup quarterbacks and Matthew Stafford for like 7 games. So what are we looking at here? We got to look at the quarterback. Detroit Lions never had no running game to rely on when Kenny Galladay was over there for real.
So Detroit Lions, I don't think have had a 1,000-yard rusher since Barry Sanders.
I mean, come on. You know, like, dog, we're back to them excuses, I feel like, for Daniel Jones now. And it's going to be amazing to have a new professional come in here and assess this situation. They know what Daniel Jones is from an outside eye looking in, and they're going to have to assess it. If they think that he's salvageable and they can repair it, then by whatever means, do it. But don't bank on it. Don't bank on it.
The process of the change is going to be that's why I said is that this next month is going to be like, let's don't get too crazy, because the next month there's a lot's going to happen here. Your new GM, new head coach, who knows what's going to happen with the quarterback situation, 2 high draft picks, 10 draft picks in the top 100 picks. I mean, you're looking at what could possibly be and not to mention the cap space, SMAP space, you're going to have to, dump some of these contracts along the way. So you could be looking at it completely from top all the way down to the 4th, 5th strength tackle. It all could be different.
I mean, offensive line-wise, there's not many
everything.
people that they should even bring back here. I mean, you got Andrew Thomas, and maybe you bring back like 1 or 2 of the other guys for a depth piece if Nick Gates can get healthy, if Shane Lemieux can get healthy. But no more of this banking on hope type vibes. That's a wrap. And just in response to what No Mets, No Nets, No Jets is talking about here, we probably should draft a wide receiver. I'm all for it as long as it's after the 3rd pick. Yeah. Don't draft a wide receiver with the first 3.
I think it's been official, and I've been high on this for a while. There's going to be certain guys that are number 1 draft picks. When I say number 1, I mean first-round draft picks at the wide receiver position. But there is always going to be a pool of talent at the wide receiver position in the middle rounds. And I know that from watching a lot of college football, obviously, like the Michael Pittmans, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, those type of guys who may not necessarily be all the way number 1s right out the gate, but they're gonna be contributors on the field immediately.
And Kadarius Toney's gonna have to hit that weight room heavy in the offseason. He came into the league with a body built like Lamar Jackson's when Lamar Jackson came in as a rookie. Strong like that. Khalif strength I always talk about here on Awthentik and the Beard. He's cut up and he's strong, but he's pretty slender. And I think that has to do with a lot of why he's dealing with so many injuries. So if he can hit the weight room, come back, he's going to have to be a durable piece if he's going to want to be a piece that is implemented in this New York Giants offense, because at the ceiling of Kadarius Toney, he's got to be a guy like Deebo Samuel. He's got to be a guy who can do all those things, run the ball, catch the ball short, and be able to – he has the moves to do it. When you looked at Odell Beckham as a rookie, man, some of the moves that Odell Beckham was making cut-wise in the league early, it reminds me of what Kadarius Toney can do. He can make guys miss for sure. But when you're making guys miss, you got to find a way to keep your body healthy. And I think he has the awareness to do it, but he's going to have to build up the body to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And with him and Kenny Galladay – I don't know what they'll do with a guy like John Ross. I mean, you probably see him out of here, I'd imagine. Sterling Shepard is another guy that you're probably going to see out of here unless he comes back on, some kind of more friendly deal. The Giants are going to have to address wide receiver at some point or another and bring in some guys. Why is it that other teams find ways to bring in guys off the streets, bring in guys free agent, like you said, guys in the later rounds of the draft, and the New York Giants can't do it?
Washington football team has struggled at that wide receiver position for a long time. We've got Terry McLaurin, but
that was a hit.
That's everything else has been really tough sledding for the Washington football team. I think De'Ami Brown is somebody that you'll have to wait and see, but he's kind of, I hate to use the term one-trick pony, but
I was going to say the same
he
thing,
relies a lot on the down-the-field routes, and then obviously Taylor Heineke is not a down-the-field thrower, so that, we will wait and see how that progresses as a draft pick. Big shout-out to Tuto for the $9.99 super chat. Said, there'd be advantages and disadvantages if I played for the New York Giants. I'd guarantee a win every game as long as I breathe, and I'd personally punish the owner, GM, or head coach if they screw up every time.
I'm trying to figure out where the disadvantages would be. Would the disadvantage be maybe trying to say you're going to guarantee a win every game? Or is it
I think maybe beating up the head coach might not be a good thing. Big shout out to Jeremiah Butler for the $4.99 cent super chat. Says Judge was holding the GM back. Rehire Gettleman. Go San Francisco. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay, so I think he's saying go San Francisco because they're playing against the Dallas Cowboys. I feel you on that. And I agree with the first half of this statement that Judge was probably holding the GM back in Dave Gettleman. But as far as rehiring, I'm sure you're probably just joking around with that a little bit. But if you are serious, I wouldn't rehire Dave Gettleman. I think he's just retiring off into the sunset, man. Best of luck with him with his life and with football if he does get another job here somewhere in the future, though, for sure. And we appreciate you, Jeremiah, pulling up, man. That's a new face. Haven't seen you here, man.
Big
Welcome to the fam. And make sure to hit the subscribe button if you you digging the authentic and the beard vibes over here, man.
I did want to have a big shout out to Marjorie because I will say one of the main people I saw who was literally just sick to their stomach on Twitter with Joe Judge not being fired yesterday was Marjorie. So I know she is super excited, but she at the same time said that she will be cautiously optimistic next season. So I think that's the smart route to go. And DB from EP with the $1.99 cent super chat says, praying Giants go West Coast offense. What are your thoughts on that?
That's my thoughts on that. I would love a West Coast offense here in New York, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards going to the 4-3 on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the 3-4. Never really been a big fan of the 3-4. I like to have, 4 down linemen, know who's rushing the quarterback, and let that be their job, man. I think we don't have the players that are versatile enough to be running the 3-4 anyway. But, yeah, I'm with you on this, man. West Coast offense, let's stretch the field, man, no matter what we do. Even if we do retain Daniel Jones to come back as the starter, I would love to see us go West Coast offense. Short passing game to implement some running style type plays or some short yardage type plays, and then be able to stretch it down the field, man. That's very important. We already know about this red zone offense with the New York Giants, dead last in the NFL, under 50%. That's not going to get it done, man. So for me, I'm looking to score outside of the red zone and find a way to up the percentages as far as efficiency goes in the red zone as well.
And big shout out to Words. Just got home from work and get some great news. That's an awesome thing to get off of work to when you're a Giants fan, I must say, for sure. And big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 cent super chat. Says Moron Mara has been bringing in all quick fixes for years and never built the roster in depth. Nearsighted, one-dimensional minded pro team owners. WTF.
Yeah, I can agree with a little bit of that for sure, man. I think, bringing in the depth is more on the GM and more on the coach, that those two are going to be the pair that are going to, put their minds together to try to bring the right players in. And Gettleman did some good. He did some good. I thought James Bradbury was a little sneaky scoop up. Logan Ryan was sneaky. James Bradbury again. Blake Martinez was very sneaky. A lot of people weren't high on Blake Martinez. He was relatively under my radar for real until we scooped him up.
The injuries have really, really been horrible for him because when he's on the field, he plays exceptionally well.
The injury, because he didn't miss a game with us. That ACL tear was the injury. That was major on him. And if he'll be able to bounce back and be the same player is a big question mark, I think, too, for the Giants, which is why a lot of fans are thinking we need to go draft a linebacker in this draft as well. And I'm all on board for that as well. Address them all. You got 10 picks, man. Address every position, man. Address them all. Start checking off boxes, man.
Jeremiah is a funny guy. He says, I would highly recommend y'all pursue Freddie Kitchens as a head coach.
Shout out Jeremiah one time. Man. Appreciate you.
Tudo with a $4.99 cent super chat says, I'd be thrown out, fined, and banned from the NFL if a player is not wearing the same color jersey that I'm wearing. He'd fall fast and ain't getting up no mas.
Hey, we need that Tudo mentality on the New York Giants for sure, man. We definitely appreciate you.
I would love some of that, Washington. That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier about how, I just didn't see that a lot this year with Washington about, that ferociousness, that, that just, you got to be vicious a little bit. I want to see you step on some windpipes, as Doc
I want
Doc
some,
Walker be saying.
What's my man that was with the Carolina Panthers for a while, and I know he dealt with a lot of concussions at the linebacker position. White boy. Who's the white boy linebacker that was with the Carolina Panthers?
Luke Kuechly.
Luke Kuechly. That's the kind of vibes I'm looking at. Willing to put it all out there on the line for the better good of the team. Those are the kind of players I'm looking for. Smash mouth football. People that'll go out there and
smash
some
mouth
hits.
football.
You know what I'm saying? At that linebacker position. Reminds me of the linebacker from Miami from back in the day too. Zach. What was my man's name? Zach
Thomas.
Zach Thomas. You know, I want those alpha players, man. Those Ronnie Lott, them Steve Atwater. That when you go across the middle, boy, it's gonna be a problem. Them kind of players. James Harrison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where are those dogs at? TJ Watt. I'm talking about them dogs, bro.
Allende says, what do y'all think of the rumors that Washington could get Deshaun Watson? Assuming he never gets charged, let alone convicted of anything, my fear is risking that he is a creep and bringing him in even at that point. I mean, listen, Deshaun, I can't speak on Deshaun Watson's, legal situation because until that unwraps, you know what I'm saying? Like, I treat that like everything else I treat when it comes to like the laws and the criminals and anything like that. Like, look, you are innocent until proven guilty. I don't know all the facts. I don't know all the stories. Obviously, if he did do some really messed up stuff, I don't want him personally, obviously. And I think that, it's unfortunate because Washington is basically trying to completely change the face of their organization of being a sleazy organization. Like, it's almost like you're going backwards by bringing it, even though, like, and I hate to say it, but this is reality. Even if it's just allegations, you can't go from being accused of all these sexual misconducts within the organization and then bring in a guy who has 32 counts allegedly of sexual misconduct into that organization. Even if he's innocent, it's just bad optics. I hate to say it, but that's part of the business.
Disagree with you on this one, okay?
Okay.
Because you know what that's kind of like saying? That's like saying that when Mike Vick got out of jail, nobody should have took a chance on him. Deshaun Watson, I'm about to break it down for you. Are we not talking about life decisions here that are the wrong decision when we talk about Deshaun Watson? Yes or no?
Yeah, but okay, before you continue, let me just say that I'm just saying this based on Washington. Okay, now, I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson doesn't deserve a second chance at all, even if he's innocent. I'm just saying for Washington, it's just bad optics.
And this it's good that we disagree on this. We shouldn't have the exact same opinion on everything. So just let it be. It's all good, right? But this is my opinion on it. If a 26-year-old is out here making the wrong mistakes in his sex life, okay? He rightfully so has to pay for that, all right? If the charges are dropped, then he deserves to be a functioning human being in our society just like everybody else deserves it. If his charges are dropped, I don't care, bro. This dude's not coming in to be a teacher. He's a football player. Give him a second chance. Let him get out there and make plays. He's proven he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If Deshaun Watson's charges are dropped, I'm all for New York bringing him in. And if Washington was able to go for it, they need to go for it. If you need the quarterback out there, we're not talking about hiring a professor or hiring somebody who's going to be an outstanding model for society. Mike Vick was out there doing a bunch of grime when it comes to animals, right? He went into the prison system, served his time for 2 years. He got out. I love that Andy Reid gave him a second chance on that. Now, with Deshaun Watson, let's say he is accused of some of these sexual allegations, but he doesn't end up doing no jail time, and he is able to play, let's say, in the 2022 season. Then he deserves to be out there and playing football. That's what he does for a living. This guy's not a model citizen. We know it's a bonus if a football player is a model citizen. But if he served his time and the justice system says that this guy doesn't deserve to be in jail for, whatever amount of years that'll knock him out of football, then he deserves to be playing football. It's simple as that for me. I don't need to wait to see what happens with the case, except if he's proven guilty and he got to do jail time, well, then guess what? He's not going to be playing football next year. It's that simple.
Yeah. But also with Deshaun Watson, you have to remember that it's not like he's just a free agent. You know what I'm saying? Like
You'd have
he's
to trade
still
for him.
yeah, you'd have to trade for him, and he has a no trade clause, so he'd have to want to come to where he's going to. And I think it's already been, as much as the rumors are out there, he's made it pretty clear that Washington is not a place that he wants to come play.
And that's
football
all
for.
fine and dandy. But at this point, you started that statement by saying you don't like to hang your hat on hypothetical stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's hypothetical. We're talking about a dude who's been sitting on the sideline for a year not playing football, watching other people play football. That's probably not fun. He's probably looking to get back into football in any form or fashion. And there are going to be organizations and GMs that think like how you think and say, nah, I'm Dan Snyder. I already got my own sexual allegations I got to deal with. Why am I going to bring in a guy who has his own sexual allegations and might not take that risk on a guy like Deshaun Watson? So he might be slim pickings as far as the teams that might even want to deal with him, because not everybody's going to be thinking about it like I am. We already see Mara already be going out here trying to get players that are, they got the right head on their shoulders being more important than the way they play on the football field. For me, that's not the case. When you bringing in dogs, sometimes you bringing in guys who didn't have the greatest life, who have made crazy mistakes in their life and have done crazy things. And that's why they are in the position that they are, and they're playing football for a living. That people are lucky to be able to do that off the strength, right off the bat. But if for Deshaun Watson, he might have a pick at like 10 teams. Maybe that trade clause changes. Maybe the teams he wants to play for that he said, hey, I would never play for that team, he will play for that team entering the 2022 season. It's all hypothetical at this point. But I will say this. You can bring in a guy like that, allegations or not. You can bring in a guy like that. I'm not saying he's some model citizen. I want that guy near my family. But at the end of the day, he's getting paid to throw a football, not to be a model citizen.
Very, very true. Big shout out again to Trudeau. He has now crossed over to his ab photo, and Kevin the PRF said
he had a different photo.
Yeah, he had the Italian flag earlier.
Trudeau out here swapping the abs on him.
I'm gonna go back to it, but before I do that, I'm gonna go this way. Kevin says every super chat from Trudeau, I'm like, damn, I gotta hit the gym tomorrow.
Nah, Trudeau's profile pic make me just be like, you know what, it's over. I ain't even hitting the gym. I ain't never getting that kind of body.
He said those abs are real, not just for the pictures, but to put them in action on the battlefield, where the power and strength counts the most, with beast mode on, activated.
That's my man Tudo, man. Tudo is my guy, man. Couldn't do this without the homie Tudo.
Big shout out to Jeremiah Butler. Said, yeah, just discovered y'all off of Entertainers Channel. Y'all got some dope creators. Just picked the wrong team. Beat Brady. Go San Francisco. Rehire Gettle.
Shout out Jeremiah, man. Welcome to the fam, my dude. Appreciate the comments on the show, man. And yeah, we'll consider it for you. We're gonna consider that rehire Gettleman talk.
I appreciate you with the bag-to-backs, man. He says, I'm subbing. Listen, welcome. We welcome all fans here. This is a family, so yes, hopefully, fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, when we say this is a family show, we don't mean like, bring the kids to pull up. We mean bring the fam. This the fam right here, okay, when it comes to Awthentik and the Beard.
Yeah, so we definitely appreciate you joining us, man, and hopefully.
Get this one real quick, too. Do you got any information on this? Is it just civil suits, or is there any like real charges out there?
As far as I know, and obviously, like I said when I started that before, like I'm no expert, and I'd leave all judgment until it's time. Things have been out and revealed. As far as I know, it is just a civil suit. Now, with the civil suits, I do believe that there is still a possibility, based upon what happens in the civil suits, that criminal charges could occur. But I mean, once again, and that's why I said optics, because a lot of what Awthentik said is very valid. But as far as I know, it is 60. I think it's 60 plus civil suits.
Yo, the comments are crazy right now.
So
I don't know if we want to highlight that joint from No Mets, No Nets, No Jets.
So I'm just we're kind of waiting to hear that out. I'm gonna have to go back up.
We can highlight it. He said he's in a locker room full of men, not massage therapists, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out OBX Picker, who just pulled up in the building, man. We've been talking about Joe Judge being fired here from the New York Giants, man. It's been a very interesting show. I told the beer we were going to go for about an hour, try to keep things short and try to crash the party over there with the hub. And then an hour and 38 minutes later after that, we're still on air talking about Joe Judge being fired and the state of the New York Giants. And, you know, sprinkled in with a little bit of the state of the Washington football team because they haven't fared too well either.
Yeah. Big shout out to Zachary on $2 law firm advice super chat. Says a grand jury is being assembled by the Houston AD.
Yeah, so that's gonna play. You know, that's gonna.
We
play,
gonna see.
It's gonna have some leverage in this whole, you know, trying to trade for Deshaun Watson, because also you're gonna trade for a guy who's dealing with some stuff looming over his head like that. When are these cases supposed to be presented in front of a court?
They start the next couple of weeks, actually.
That's awesome. So then we can you know, try to address that after the fact when some real you know, some justice is being served here, and then we can figure out what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But man, I would welcome him in with open arms in New York, pending he be out on the streets and not behind bars. Straight up.
Yeah. Big shout out to Stephen Lilly, who is going to turn in. It is 2:40 a.m. across the pond. Big shout out. Appreciate everything. You stopping by, listening, and chatting with us, man. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, now he says he's too
there.
entertained to go to bed, so
oh,
to be here.
Oh,
yeah,
he's still alive. Look
Are
at
you
me.
not entertained? I read it the same way you read it at first, and I was like, oh, he says he's actually too entertained to go to bed. That's what's up, man. But I mean, I know we about to call it quits here in a second here, man. We've been live now for 2 hours and 40 minutes, but rightfully so. This was definitely deserved. A lot of Giants fans were super upset yesterday when, you know, Bloody Monday came and went and Joe Judge was not fired. It was kind of puzzling. But today we got the news. I think it broke around like about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got news that Joe Judge was actually going to be fired. So, you know, for me, there's a little bit of hope, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how the New York Giants are going to address the head coach and the GM here and just go about this process and try to get us back in that winning column, man. I think is very important, man. So we shall see, man. I'm one that's been saying, hey, you know, I think Daniel Jones is a pretty good quarterback, very average quarterback. You can get some things done with Daniel Jones, but I think this is the draft to go ahead and address it. If you see your guy out there, for me, it's Malik Willis, especially if you see him in that second round, go get him. I don't want to be one of these guys who's starting a rookie quarterback when we enter 2023, not having no other quarterbacks on the roster, you know, and just banking on a guy like Bryce Young being there and hoping that we had a bad enough season to actually have that pick to even get a Bryce Young. To me, it's just a little bit of too many things got to go right for the New York Giants to try to find their quarterback entering the 2023 season. For me, go out there and get a quarterback. If you see one here in the second round, possibly the third round, if one of these guys fall, I don't think they will. There's really only about 5 or 6 prospects out there on draft boards right now. For me, go get that guy in the second round if he's there. And if he's your guy, hey, spend that draft pick on him in the first round. Bring him in. Have him challenge the job. Don't start him right off the bat. Keep Daniel Jones. You already paid that rookie money for Daniel Jones. See what happens here for the first maybe 7 games in the 2022 season. And then you got a rookie that's being molded and being developed by a new coach. You won't have to worry about him coming in with a new coordinator when it comes time for him to start. Build this unit now. Start building this unit right now. Bring in some edge rusher help. Bring in some offensive line help. Maybe a wide receiver late in the draft. And use these 10 picks accordingly to just address this team. You know, this team's not ready to win right now with no coach. So go out there and try to bring in some more players. Maybe you see yourself, you know, closer to 500 in 2023, and then you're trying to make a push 2024. That sounds so crazy just saying 2024. 2024, 2025. You know what I'm saying? We getting old over here, cuz. I need a Super Bowl. I need another Super Bowl. We getting old, cuz.
Yeah, we're getting old, but that doesn't mean I can't get abs like Tuto for the $4.99 says Super Chat says Saluti, the best Giants YouTube duo of all times. We love you guys and great show every time. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate that, man. We definitely appreciate Tudo, man. And for those of y'all that aren't familiar with Tudo, around the New York Giants community, man, he does this for all the channels. He holding down all the channels. I see him with the Hub. I see him with Entertainer Talking Sports and multiple other channels, man. So big salute to you, Paisano, my guy, Tudo. We really couldn't do this without the support of you, man. You really keep, you know, theoretically the lights on for Awthentik and the Beard, man. We appreciate all the support you've given us through this past, I want to say about a good 2 years now. You've been supporting us, let's say at least a year and a half. So big salute to my guy Tuto one time in the building, man. Giants Nation here in the building, man. Beard, any last thoughts before we wrap this show up, man, and enter these playoffs, man, coming up here?
No,
a lot of stuff.
I think Thursday we should put in our playoff predictions.
I mean, what else? What you think we was going to do on Thursday? Talk about the New York Giants and the Washington football team being eliminated from the playoffs? Hell no. We got a bunch of stuff on deck for y'all for this playoff situation. We're going to keep it super funky over here on Awthentik and the Beard, and we're going to keep it fun over here because our teams aren't in the playoffs. So just look forward to a lot of coverage, man, starting Thursday. Thursday is going to be an amazing show. We got a lot in the trick bag for y'all so that, we can bring a little bit of spice and a little bit of seasoning to this playoff situation on Awthentik.
Obey!
Little Old Bay. Ooh, I love some Old Bay. Some Old Bay wings, dry rub. Ooh. Can't beat it.
Nah, man, this was a lot of fun. And hopefully, put a smile on a lot of our fan base here and our fam base here at Awthentik and the Beard. I know a lot of people were pretty upset yesterday. I was actually talking to my fiance about it. I was like, man, Giants Nation is not happy, Josie. I was like, they still haven't fired their head coach. And then, it broke. And usually, I know that Awthentik gets the same notifications that I get when it comes to. But I had to still give him the personal text when the news broke that Joe Judge got fired.
On another front here. So for those of y'all that were here for the last Thursday show, where we did a couple little trivia vibes, little game vibes. We've been working on a new game show because if you tuned in last season, we had a Jeopardy themed show where we had a bunch of content creators on the panel. That was the Hub, Kid Blue. We had Entertainer Talking Sports. We had Steffi Smalls. Am I missing anybody else that was on that Jeopardy panel?
You already said Kid Blue too, right?
Yeah, I said Kid Blue. I can't remember who else was on it.
That was everybody.
A couple others might have been on that panel. I feel like we had a couple more, but this year we're going to be doing another game show night, and this time it's going to be themed with a Family Feud theme. So this is breaking news for the Beard here too. Good. I already got half my team ready, so you better get on your recruiting ASAP. We're going to be doing this show here within the next week or two. I got confirmations from the Entertainer Talking Sports. I got confirmation from the homie The Hub. And I got confirmation from the homie Lax 044, who's going to be joining us on Team New York Giants. Let me check my DMs to make sure that I'm 100% right on that real quick. Man, the DMs be flooded. The DM be flooded. Yeah. Nah, I can't even get back to that one. I'm not even going to lie. It's too far back. But I'm pretty sure it's Lax who hit me up in the DM, said, you can't do this without me. Make sure to put me on the team. So we got 3 members on Team New York Giants already. So you better get to recruiting. I might throw out a little nudge to the homie Peter Rosenberg and see if he can pull up for Team Washington for y'all. I think that'd be really cool.
How many team members do I get?
5.
5, including me, or 5 after me?
5, because you're not going to be on the team. Me and you.
Well, I'm the head of the team.
5 other teammates.
5 other teammates. All right, I got that down. All right, yeah.
And Lax confirms, yes, it was Lax. I just had to make sure because look, in my mind, I don't know what Lax looks like, and I don't know what Waterfly looks like. And I just remember that they were day ones around the same time, so I kind of be getting Lax mixed up with Waterfly sometimes. So it definitely was Lax. Shout out to Lax, he was the first team member I got. First round draft pick, Lax 044, drafted by the New York Giants in the first round with the first pick. And then I scooped up Entertainer and my man, The Hub, with the other first round pick and our second round pick. So it should be interesting, man. Family Feud night is going to be a gem. I promise y'all it's going to be a gem. It's going to be hosted by me and the Beard. I'm going to try to do my best, Steve Harvey, and the Beard's going to do his best. I forget. Richard Dawson. I can't even believe I just pulled that. You don't even know who I'm talking about. Look at that face. He doesn't even know who Richard Dawson is. Richard Dawson.
Yeah, I do.
OG,
Richard Dawson is the OG
host.
Family Feud, the original creep of creeping.
Come on, man. He wasn't no creep back in the day. They used to do stuff like that. Little moi. What's up, shorty? All right, he wasn't no creep, man. He don't got no Deshaun
guy
Watson
came out a little
allegations.
fast, so I apologize.
You know what I'm saying?
I
But
didn't
shout
really
out to
think
homie
that
Lax.
through.
I'm definitely gonna put the word out about who we're going to get for the last 2 spots real soon. I already reached out to a couple of people, so that news will be coming soon. Hopefully we get that show ironed out, and we'll try to do it on a time frame where it's like everyone's available. I want to make sure everybody's available for that show. So probably some late night vibes. So y'all keep your eyes and your ears peeled for that. We'll put out a notification in the YouTube community tab for sure, and it'll be all over our Twitters, etc. But before we get up out of here, y'all know how we do here on Awthentik and the Beard. Look, the Beard's giving me that look like he's just watching the show. Look, this is how he looking down at his computer, just like, this guy.
I'm going to be honest with you. What I was just doing is I was thinking about a team just now. I mean, I was like, you really got my wheels going. I was deep in thought.
You better get on it. I'm going to give you till. I'm giving you till the end of the week, bro. By Sunday, you need all 5 members on your team.
All right.
So get to it. But y'all know how we do here on Awthentik and the Beard, man. Biceps in that chat before we get up out of here. Y'all know what it is. I almost wanted to like add some reverb to my voice, kind of like the Tuto, but left side. Y'all know what it is, man. It's definitely gonna be a great time, man. But let's get them biceps in the chat. My man Lax044 said Richard Dawson was the dude from the movie The Running Man. Now look, he gems. You gotta be you know about that?
Yes, I know about the Running Man.
Okay, so who was he in Running Man?
I don't remember.
I knew you was pump faking. I knew you was pump faking. Yo, Running Man is one of my favorite movies, Lax. Yo, straight up and down. That's such a great concept from the 80s. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was they kind of put him on like a lifelike game show where they killed people. Richard Dawson was the main host on the game show where they would like shoot you into like this atmosphere, this world where they had the Running Man. Great movie. I recommend it to anybody who has not seen it. Great movie. So definitely go check out The Running Man. Yo, that's a man, my brother used to play that movie so much back in the day, man. Shout out Lax044 for bringing that up because that's a straight gem right there, man. But yo, we definitely appreciate all of y'all once again, man, pulling up, man. The chat vibes was lit. This is going to be one of those shows, man, a legendary kind of a show that we'll all remember. You know what I'm saying? When Joe Judge got fired, where you was, who you was with. You could be anywhere in the world rocking with anybody. And I know some of y'all probably double and triple dipping right now. Probably got 4 and 5 streams open from New York Giants content creators. But I mess with y'all, man. I got a lot of love for y'all in that chat. And I appreciate y'all pulling up, man. Y'all know what it is over here at Awthentik and the Beard, man. Keep raising that bar. The Giants did that today. They raised that bar. They raised the threshold of what is acceptable for New York Giants head coaching. Also, general management, and fired. For me, that's a clean enough house. I don't want you to clean out the kids and, get rid of the kids. You cleaned out the adults. House is clean right now. It's looking spiffy up in here right now. Spring vibes. Can't wait for the draft, but y'all know what it is. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams, man. One day, New York Giants are going to be back. Washington football team, I'm going to say it for y'all too. One day, y'all going to be back on top. We're going to get ourselves a NFC championship where it's going to be Washington versus the New York Giants. And we'll look back at this show and be like, oh, we remembered that moment that Awthentik brought that up. So once again, man, we really appreciate everybody. All the super chats, all the conversation tonight, every bit of input, all the debates, everything that y'all said in the chat, man. We really appreciate y'all once again, man. Thank you for rocking with Awthentik and the Beard through this 2021 season. We really could not do this without y'all, and y'all give me more emphasis to come here and pull up every day and talk football with y'all, man. So y'all know what it is. It's straight love from Awthentik and the Beard to everybody that's fam in that chat, man. So we will see y'all Thursday, playoffs. It's going to be a good one. Don't miss this show. I promise y'all it's going to be a fun one, just like that last one was with them over-unders. And I'll go back to Beard, and I'll get all the over-unders that we hit and missed from this game against the Washington football team from my New York Giants. Y'all know what it is, man. Big love. Keep living those dreams, man. Y'all be good. Peace.